Mic check. Let's get it.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believed me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I'm Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic gotta say. I got them picking up the pieces. That me, you really playing with your life. I'm about to come and run it all back. I'm the new era, about to snap back. You ain't fitting for it, cause you all cap like. Hold up, I shoot my shot, wait, hold up. I'm really about to run this go up. You know it's all net when it go up. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Hey, please don't play no games with me. I promise I'm too much. Hey, I can never let up even if you had enough. Hey, this ain't for the faint of heart. We always playing rough. I had enough, it ain't luck. I needed a vision, I needed ambition, I needed a mission to beat this submission with no intermission. I see the collision, the crash and the distance, they coming off track, no. Now when they ask what's the motive, don't talk about the show. They all about to see what I mean in the moment. I gotta keep going, I'm shaking the dice and I'm keeping it rolling. They already know. Ain't got no other plans, you don't need to understand, ayy. We on overtime, you don't need to understand, ayy. You just show them how to do it when you don't know what to say. Tell me how you plan to win if you plan to play. Moving fast, already gone, yeah, but you bringing me back. Try to double cross me, dog, just let me relax. Stop assuming what we doing. Keep it moving, what we doing. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right. Cause it can get big right.
Yeah. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, my people. Got that first cup, that fresh cup, packed up. We got some talking, some boxing talk to do today. It would be Tuesday News Day, but yesterday, you guys know, I told you guys already. I was going to try to come on last night, but I was just too tired. Yo, one thing about it, two things for sure. When I'm tired, I am not worth nothing. I'm not doing that no more, right? So we're going to make sure all these shows are energized and infused with knowledge, infused with perspective. We're going to put context to certain things. We got a lot of things to talk about today. Salute to everybody who's in the building today. So much to talk about it. The space is buzzing, not necessarily for the right reasons. Boxing is in a great space right now. On a world stage level, boxing is in a great space right now. Guys, as you come into the building, hit your like buttons as you come in the building. For the replay gang, hit the subscribe button. We got a lot to build on today. The space is buzzing and not necessarily for the right reasons. We're going to talk about it. Definitely got to address the elephant in the room. There is an elephant in the room when it comes to this current space of boxing that we're in. And listen, we're going to speak to the community, the American boxing community, maybe even more specifically, the Black American boxing community, the Black American boxing experience, what's going on in this community, what I'm watching. I'm not like a lot of other people as far as I'm not in all these other chats as much as maybe I should be. But every now and then you see things going on in the world and you decide, let me go reach out a little bit and let's see what's going on. What are the conversations happening in our community? Our community is in the spotlight right now, and maybe not for the right reasons. And maybe the question is, how is it benefiting boxing? Where does it where is the Black American boxing experience? Where is it at today? We talk on these things lightly, and I try to keep away from these topics, to be honest with you, as much as I can. I'm not going to lie to you because I wanted to be about boxing. I really have a passion for the sport. I watch it like that. I love the idea of it, the mentality behind it, the discipline, the structure. I love what these fighters do, and I respect these fighters at the highest level, understanding that I could never do something like that, right? To be an elite fighter, an elite fighter, an athlete in this world makes you an exceptional human being just off the strength of doing that. Knowing that 8 to 9 out of 10 human beings just can't even fathom putting themselves through the physical preparation, mental, physical preparation to get inside these rings and give us entertainment, putting their lives on the line, putting their well-being and their cognitive strength on the line. It really is an amazing thing to watch, and I love the sport. As I watch it, the pundit in me can't help but admire these fighters. But I think, and I wonder if the community is able to embrace this the same way I do. So I put this platform together. I put this channel together because I wanted it to be a space where boxing fans can meet up. We can congregate, fellowship, and celebrate these fighters together. We try to do that, right? But to say that I'm not discouraged and disappointed in our community right now, I'd be lying to you guys. I genuinely would be lying to you guys to say that I'm not, because I genuinely am. Today we're going to talk about it, though. We're going to talk about it because the space is buzzing. That's what's happening. I promise to bring boxing content and news and perspective on what's trending, what's going on. And unfortunately, what's trending might not necessarily be what I really want to talk about as much, but maybe I have to talk about it because you can't run away from it. You can only look away from what's going on for so long before I feel like I have a responsibility and accountability to my community to share some perspective on where I stand on this. Shout out to all the other content creators in the space. Shout out to to my brother Blue Blood. Shout out to Champ Side. Shout out to all the spaces that are speaking, even the ones that I don't agree with on their stances right now, as we are, whether we like it or not, the voice of boxing in our community. We are the voice, however you want to look at it, whether you like what a content creator is doing or you don't like what a content creator is doing. One thing's for sure, two things for certain is we all are the maybe only voice for a lot of these fighters and for this sport where it's at right now. And we have the power to move the needle forward and grow this sport. And we also clearly have the power to tear it down. Like a wise man once said, Spider-Man's Uncle Ben said, with great power, right? With great power. So we're going to talk about all of that today. We're definitely going to talk about that. I also got a lot of boxing, believe it or not, that I want to talk about. I think it shouldn't be hard to believe. A lot of 154-pound division news going on. Things are developing in the background. I definitely want to share some perspective on where we at with that. News of potential returns of great fighters like Errol Spence circulating once again in the ecosystem. How seriously can we take it? Things of that nature, right? News of the PBC potentially doing collaborations with Golden Boy and lining their fighters up. And God knows the PBC fighters need some activity. So we'll talk about that as well. but we definitely have to address the elephant in the room, man. We got to address it. Let me salute to everybody who is in the building right now. Shout out to Sonny Augustine. Good morning, good brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Shout out to my community, always sending blessings. Says salute Claymore. God bless you, brother, man. I accept that. Thank you, man. You know what I'm saying? God is good, man. And thank you and blessings back at you, man. Those count, man. Those are like little super chats within themselves. I appreciate that. Guys, remember to hit the like button as you come in the building, and please feel free to support the channel. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the content creators, $1, $2, $5, $1,000, right? It all does help, man. I appreciate any support you can give to the channel. It helps to elevate. I got things in motion right now that are also going to come, trying to show improve on the improvements and where that support is going. It's not going just into my light bill, and you know what I mean, it's not going into to the seafood spot. It's actually going into the channel, right? Trying to improve and elevate this experience one little step at a time. So anything you guys can put to support the channel is always respected and embraced. Thank you in advance. Here for boxing in the building, said them picks Bud posted on IG last night. The man is ready 100%, man, and to be celebrated, man. I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. It is what it is, but to be celebrated. Just trying to get some understanding and some perspective on why tearing down this man's legacy, why tearing down this fight, why highlighting the most negative, ugliest, nastiest things that could be highlighted in this moment in time, prepping 5 weeks out to an potential era-defining fight, that people would find this to be the opportune moment to throw shots, to tear down this man's legacy. It's mind-boggling. A lost community in many ways, a fallen state of character in many ways, in and outside of the sport. Watching this community self-sabotage, crab in the barrel mentality, this community's perspective into no relevance, where your own fighters aren't listening to you anymore, when the boxing space has detached from you and you're just isolated yourself in a way to where your voices are mute on the ears of the fighters you claim to support, and you wonder why. Is there any wondering why? It makes absolutely no sense. I don't care about Victor Conti. I don't care about an inconvenient truth about whatever his history and his resume says he's done in the past. It used to mean something to have proof. It used to mean something. And today, it's a different day. It's a different day today, where perception holds way more weight than actual reality. And perception has become reality. So yeah, man, Bud is looking great in his picks. He's taking this seriously, dialed in, focused, getting ready for the biggest fight of his life, getting ready for his one opportunity that he's worked for. Everything he's done has culminated to this opportunity to add some respect to his name and to do something significant that's his space. We all could only hope to get an opportunity to do something like that in our lifetimes. How many of us get an opportunity to do something significant like this, to mark yourself as an all-time great in your era? Yeah, man, we definitely rooting Bud on this one, man. Shout out to Terrence Crawford. Shout out to Here for Boxing in the building. Des22 in the building. Salute, family. What is good, Des? Hope everything's good. Salute to you, family. You out there setting people up for the wet up. I know what you out here doing, brother. I know what you out here doing, man. Shout out to you, man, in the community. I need to give you a damn wrench, by the way. I should have been gave you a wrench, man. Thank you for supporting the channel and being here, brother. Don't take it personal if it's taking me forever to give certain people wrenches. I don't pay attention to it until I do. It's not that I don't think you deserve one, or that, you know, it's not that. I'm not thinking about it. Out of sight, out of mind. But I definitely respect all you guys, man. Thank you. Salute to Des22 in the building, man. Let's see here. The Cardenas in the building. Salute to the Cardenas in the building, man. Grassroots, man. Looking forward to always see you in the building, the Cardenas. One of those guys is always going to keep it real. We don't agree on everything, but I believe him that he loves this sport, man. And I love to have that type of energy in the room. Shout out to the DGO 82. Big up to my brethren, them DGO 82 in the building, man. Cornelius Burnett. Cornelius, how old are you, man? There's only one other guy who comes in the building who uses that terminology. Matter of fact, the first time that I saw you use that, I thought it was another screen name for my guy Bradley, right? But it wasn't. You're not Bradley, clearly, right? But I mean, you guys got to be from the same city or the same, age range or something, man, because that's not for everybody. You know what I mean? That player line right there, you know what I mean, respectfully, you know what I mean, highlights a certain era in time, right? Shout out to Cornelius Burnett in the building. We're here for Boxing Say. Unfortunately, you're a threat to the current state of YouTube boxing with your style of work. They attack what they can't be like. They want to drag you down in level because you're in a high place. Yeah, man. Maybe that is what it is, right? Being attacked, I've embraced and realized that it is part of this YouTube experience and growing this channel. It's been a on the job training, understanding and learning what really this is all about. And it's changing me, right? Hopefully not for the negative, right? But it is changing me and giving me understanding. I'm having a human experience on the internet. I'm having a human experience on the internet that I've never had in real life. And what's that experience? The experience is, in real life, there's a way that you can deal with these type of interactions, but this experience on the internet is teaching me patience, understanding, emotional control that I don't know I had before I had this experience. Because and this is not to be tough or nothing like that, right? I try my best. I don't deliver tough energy, right? And I think sometimes some people play the game of taking that kindness for weakness and maybe see something that maybe misleading them as far as who I am as a man, you know what I mean? As far as, the husband that I am, the father that I am, the protector that I truly am in real life, who I actually am. Not the pacifist that I might look like to be, but in actual, very war ready, right? In his own right. Very tried, true, and tested in real life outside of this YouTube experience. But understanding that you're limited to what you can do on this internet, on these platforms, as you speak and you try to communicate in fellowship in real life in the community, and people use that opportunity to throw shots in a way that you don't know if they would necessarily feel as emboldened to do if they were in your face, right? Like, so learning to take that into stride and understanding that this is part of the game and that I can't do nothing to somebody on the other side of the screen. And I'm also 48 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Salute to everybody who's on that side of 40, getting closer to 50. Maybe you can take a moment to understand and resonate with me in this moment to know that things don't work like they used to work. I'm in the gym right now. We getting our flex on. We bringing it back. For sure. We're down 40 plus pounds. We're aiming at losing another 30 to 40 pounds. We're cutting the fat. We're trying to get the percentage down. We're pleased with our blood pressure. We're grateful that we're not pre-diabetic and a lot of things that you see going on in the world. And we're blessed to be this far and not suffered the consequences for the lifestyles we may or may have not lived to get us to this point. But not wanting to get to this point to risk your freedom or risk your quality of life at this point, knowing everything you escaped and everything that you could have went through at any given Sunday when you were younger. Not today. We don't want to wait till today to actually be playing that game. So please believe me when I tell you the whole tough guy thing is nothing that I see any leverage in pushing out there. I don't want to, and I won't. I don't care if the smile fools you. If you think I smile too much, if you think I'm disingenuous, if you want to play, you want to play the game. I've learned patience, emotional control, poise, that stoicism. This thing right here, this microphone, this building a YouTube channel. Oh man, this is real gladiator school when it comes to growing up in that way. It really is a gladiator school, man. I promise you, it is a gladiator school, and I'm appreciating it more and more each day. As much as I get frustrated from time to time, I am learning to truly appreciate it because it truly is a growing season, a lesson, and I don't know if I would necessarily grow in the way I'm growing right now without this experience. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful, man. I truly am. Shout out to you here for boxing. Mind yours in the building. Top of the top, Clay. Church is in session. Oh, yeah, we got a lot of boxing to talk about today. And like I said, we're going to be talking about this boxing space right now. We're also going to talk about what's really going on in boxing right now, because so much is going on and I love it. There's no way I'm going to escape an opportunity or miss out an opportunity to talk to you guys about the sport that I love. So we're going to talk about Virgil Ortiz and Xander Zayas, Virgil Ortiz and Keith Thurman. We're going to talk about the return of Frank Martin. We're going to talk about the heavyweight showdown going down as the heavyweight division moves Soto's boxing. So we'll talk about Moses Atuman and Dillian White some more today. We'll talk about Raymond Ford and his quest to become a champion at 130 pounds and this fight he got coming up with Abraham Nova. We're going to talk about his experience as a matchroom fighter. We're going to talk about Eddie Hearn's experience now developing fighters, now taking the time to develop his fighters and not throw them to the win. Or is he throwing them to the win? You know, is he babying Jerron Boots Ennis? Does Jerron Boots Ennis need babying? Is he allowed to be babied? Can he be developed? Eddie Hearn back in the day would throw his fighters inside of the ring and get his fighters quote unquote beat, right? He was held to that standard. When Oscar De La Hoya make fun of him and say he don't know how to match make, he's getting his fighters beat, he'd put him in there with the toughest fights, and now he decides to take a step back and get into the developing and building his fighters up, and now what is it? He's babying and protecting Jerron Boots Ennis. Well, does Jerron Boots Ennis, the caliber of fighter he is, the product that he is, the opportunity that he has with the talent that he has, does he deserve to be babied? Is it okay to build him up the right way, to get him to be the star he is so that his biggest fights is also his biggest paydays? I would argue that a Gervonta Tank Davis, that certain fighters have benefited from that mentality and are the stars they are today because of that mentality that maybe Eddie Hearn is approaching the Jerron Boots Ennis experience now. We'll talk about all those things, right? We'll talk about Keyshawn Davis today for sure. I promise you we're going to talk about Keyshawn Davis today. Of course we got to talk about Keyshawn, right? We'll talk about the 135-pound division. We'll talk about Lamont Roach. We'll talk about Gary Russell Jr. We'll talk about Gary Antoine today. We're going to talk about a lot, I promise you. Stay tuned. We're going to get it in. There's so much boxing going on, but we definitely going to talk about this elephant in the room as well. Shout out to my Aki, Ironton Zegler in the building. Walaikum salam, my brother, man. Hope everything is good, man. I know you out there on the road. You working. Congratulations. We spoke a little bit off of this thing right here, man. And thank you for tapping in, man. As you're doing what you got to do during the day, I'm glad that you're giving me a moment to get in your ear and share some boxing perspective. Thanks for being in the building, man. Shout out to SOBTV in the building. Yeah, SOBTV in the building, man. Subscribe to my Instagram. Thank you, brother. Shouted me out, man. On Instagram, man. Glad to see you in the building, man. Salute to you. Mine yours says, but I don't respect Biz. He's on some BS. Why? We're going to talk about all of that, man. We're going to talk about it too. And shout out to Showbiz because I do have respect for Showbiz. I genuinely do have respect for Showbiz. I really do. But nah, brother, I'm not on the same page with this. And I wonder and I question if he understands and realizes the impact of what he's doing, or is this on purpose? But we're going to talk about it. I don't agree with it. There's a time and a place for everything. This fight right now between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, it's not only about Terence Crawford. This is about American boxing. They're building an undercard that's going to take 3 days, arguably, with the rumor rotating in the spaces. 3 days, what Turkey Al-Sheikh said he wants to do, of undercard fighting, 20-plus undercard fights in 3 days. I promise you 7 to 8 out of 10 of those fighters are probably going to be American boxers. Right? Right? And on the back end of Top Rank breaking their deal with ESPN, or ESPN breaking their deal with Top Rank, the PBC struggling to get this relationship with the Amazon Prime moving with the right momentum to be able to facilitate a space for all of these fighters on that roster to showcase their talent. This event coming up in September is a big event that has a lot of big ramifications on it and will speak about the future of American boxing on a very high level. So yeah, man, I'm not on the same page as you as far as the stance you're deciding to take right now. I wish I could get a little bit more understanding of where you're coming from, because from the outside looking in, it seems like an ill-used opportunity to help promote and push one of the biggest fights of this era, of this year at least, of this era, potentially era defining. I don't know if this is the time to tear down a fighter's credibility and tear down in any way or form without some documentation to back it up. I don't see it yet. Maybe as time moves on, as things develop, I'll get some understanding, as I've heard you say on your platform, that history will show you on the right side of this conversation. Maybe that's when I'll see it. But right now, at this moment, it's hard for me to see it, man. And we can dismiss the concern with emotions, and maybe I'm in my feelings, because I see how this space is dealing with it right now. When people share their perspective on this, they turn it into you're being emotional, you're in your feelings. I get it. That's one way to look at it. Right? But yeah, it is what it is. Shout out to my brother Flyer Frequency in the building. Assalamu alaikum, walaikum salam, right back at you, Aki, man. Shout out to my brothers in faith, in spirit, you know what I'm saying? We hold each other down, man. A lot of strength and unity when it comes to that, man. I appreciate all of you guys, and I appreciate that you guys found this space to be a safe space to be yourselves here, man. Shout out to all you guys, man, for sure. Thor the hero in the building. Salute, Thor. I was good with you, family. Rashad Wilson in the building. Salute to Rashad Wilson. Rick Timms, what up? Yeah, Rick Timms, I'm happy to see you, man. I had to give you the horns, man. That's my guy, Rick Timms, a real fan of boxing, man. Salute to you, man. Glad to see you in the building, man. Warms my heart to see you in the building, man. Shout out to Here for Boxing with the super chat in the building, putting some color in here, man. Yeah, man. Thank you, Here for Boxing. Says love, bro. Everyone should leave $2 today for this high quality content. That's all I'm saying. Put some love in the chat, man. Put some love, man. I'm gonna throw the Cash App up too in a minute as well. But yeah, support the channel, man. Whatever you can support the channel with, we appreciate it, man. There's nothing wrong with supporting the channel. I'm not the type of dude to sit up here and beg for money or any type of nonsense like that. It's not that serious at all. But I would love to see more color in the chat, more support for the content, man. It helps the channel grow. So I appreciate it. And I thank everybody in advance who will be putting color in the chat today, tomorrow, and for the upcoming future, man. I appreciate it. And thanks for Here for Boxing, man. I appreciate it all. Thanks for the love, man. Shout out. Let's see. Let's go down the line. Is anybody? The Cardenas says, like I said before, if Bud ain't complaining about Canelo cheating and Canelo ain't complaining about Bud cheating, ain't nothing else to talk about. Hey, man. It doesn't benefit either one of those guys to tear each other's down, to tear each other's legacy down or their credibility down when they're about to head into a fight. Their victory doesn't need any tainting. This event doesn't need any tainting. Boxing needs this event to be a success. And we're going to talk about it. Why, man? This Netflix thing, everything that's tied into this fight, man. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm a critical thinker, man. I'm a reader. You know, I'm a thinker, man, and I don't get it. Time may tell, but I don't get how tearing this down. Ben, I don't get it. I don't see it, man. Maybe we'll figure it out together today, guys. Maybe we'll figure it out together. You know what I mean? Shout out to the chosen kid in the building. Says, what up, Clay? What up? Back at you, man. Boom, 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 boom. Salute, man. Heading down. Des 22 said, keep up the good work, Clay. I appreciate it. Let me see here. Let's see. Is anybody I'm missing as I'm going down the list that I haven't shot? AJ, shout out to AJ in the building. I don't know. I think I said salute to Sonny Augustine already. Bruce Gas Boxing in the building. Salute, Bruce Gas. Man, listen, man. Scholarship in the building is always a good look for the channel, man. I appreciate you guys. Ill Will 85 in the building. Salute. 2 cents in the building. I wish I had like the 50 cent, like the coin thing. We come in, I hit it, you know, with the change going out. 2 cents, you know, something intro for certain people, you know what I mean? Shout out 2 cents in the building, 2 cents boxing in the building. Let's see here, going down. Tay Bugs in the building, man, says good morning. What did he say? Tay Bugs says, Claymore Rain, good morning, fam. How you feeling? I feel great today, man. I'm truly blessed and highly favored today, man. I'm getting in great shape, guys. I'm eating clean. We eating super clean. We in the gym doing things that you wouldn't imagine. You know what I mean? We really taking it seriously. I'm taking it back years. The weight's just coming off. The muscle is building. Woo! I'm about to get on. I got me a Cobra bag here that I've had for like a month and a half, 2 months. Expensive ass Cobra bag that I haven't put together. I'm about to put together today. The reflex is on good. The muscle, the twitch memory is, man, we doing great. Breathing great, man. Blood pressure looked beautiful this morning. Hey, man, thanks for asking, bro. But I'm feeling great. If you didn't get it, you got it now. I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking, man. AK Crowd in the building says, please take a moment to smash the like button, please. It's free. Get the likes all the way up, please. Yeah, man, get the likes up, man. Show love, man. If you haven't subscribed to the channel. We got a lot to talk about today. We are going to talk about a lot today, man. We're going to speak to the elephant in the room. I got to do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to share my perspective, right? We're going to speak to the elephant in the room, man. Yeah, we're going to do that, man. Shout out to AK Crowd in the building. Let me see. Des22 showing love, putting $2 into the super chat. Salute to my God, man. Des22 for showing the love. I appreciate it, man. Big time appreciate. Thank you for the love, man. Thank you, man. Let's see what else we're dealing with up in here. Let's see. Fire. Let me see. Let's see. Bop. Oh, more love. Anton Ziegler in the building with the $5. Got me. What's this move right here called? This is a young guy's call, right? Hey. What's this one called? Am I dabbing? Is this dabbing? I'm dabbing right now. I don't expose my age, man. These grays ain't lied to you. Not one moment. They never lied to you. These grays is real. But I know about this thing right here. This thing right here with the head, right? I know about that shit, bro. I got kids. I could do all that. I got rhythm. I know how to move. Anyway, Anton, salute. Salute. Appreciate the support to the channel. Says, I appreciate the confos off screen. Knowledgeable. Thank you, man. Oh, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. For sure, Philly is in the building, man. Salute to everybody. Rick Tim says that's real Clay. Salute. Let's see. Okay, I hit everybody. Oh, no, my God. Where is he at? Mr. Lightning Boxing in the building, man. Said Showbiz just making noise at this point with all this nonsense. No one even knows what the point is he's trying to make. Yeah, man. I don't get it. I want to have some understanding. You know, growing up the way I grew up, guys, in the world that I grew up in, I'm not going to get into my history, but just knowing that I've been, you know, I haven't always been on the straight and narrow, right? And I've lived a life. And one of the biggest things that I was always taught to understand is how to read the room. The most important thing, literally your life was on the line around your ability to read the room, to understand where danger was at, to understand where opportunity was at, to understand when to speak versus when not to speak, right? To understand when you should be listening more than you're talking, to understand all these different intangibles or variables, you know what I mean, that you have to take into consideration when you're walking the walk that I've walked in my life. And I'd like to think that my ability to do that better than the average bear got me here where I'm at today, because I could have been somewhere else, right? Could have been dead, in jail, you know, all those things. I could have been somewhere. I could have been somewhere else right now. I'd like to think better than the average bear got me to this point. Not the smartest in the room by any stretch of the imagination, but the average bear, I would like to think I was able to get myself through a lot of situations with my intelligence, with my chess mentality over my checkers mentality, right? And I'm watching all of a sudden in the past few weeks, this black shadow growing, by the way. It's not a little black shadow, it's growing over the sport that we all say we love. I'm watching content creators speak on the most trendiest topics, I guess. And you know something else I'm noticing as I open up the landscape and the lens and I'm watching boxing being talked about around the world. I'm watching it in the UK. I'm watching it in different communities, in my Mexican brothers communities, and I'm watching it in the UK communities, and I'm watching, our Caucasian brothers who have channels, and I'm watching what everybody's talking about. And it's amazing to me that what consistently seems to be trending in our community seems to be the things that tear down the community. This seems to be what's trending over here. Whereas in Adelaide, Adalopo, I hope I'm saying your name right, salute to you, brother, doesn't seem to be as interested in it. The UK doesn't seem to be that concerned with it. The Mexican community doesn't seem that concerned with it. I don't see people talking about Victor Conti like that in these other communities, because one would have you believe that Victor Conti is one of the most important topics to speak about in boxing. But I want it to be understood, and I want you to understand it's coming from a good place. I don't see the interest in this topic outside of our community like that, which leads me down the road of the next thing, which is, what is it about this topic that has caught our community up the way that it has? Every room talking about Victor Conti. I know content creators who have been talking about Victor Conti and the snack program for years now. Literal years. Not days, not a few weeks, years. To the point to where it's consumed them, to where they're not even talking about what's actually happening in boxing. They're not covering the sport. They're not covering the fights. They took everything and put it inside of a box and turned it into, and fooling themselves into believing that this is what's trending. But as I stated earlier, as I'm moving around the space and I'm watching boxing conversations happening across the space, shout out to Ring IQ, shout out to Adel Adalope, shout out to Chris Algerian. I can't remember the guy he does it with, but with the boxing. Shout out to the Boxing Voice with Ness. Shout out to just so many different platforms across the board. You know what I mean? That don't seem to get it the way we get it, right? The way we understand that this is the most important thing that we could be talking about now. I stated earlier that watching boxing in American right now, the black boxing experience has been on a trajectory that is not optimistic. We're talking about global warming in the black American boxing experience. Can you feel that? Do you understand when I bring up global warming? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Let me add some context to what I mean by global warming. Global warming, the earth is warming up, and what we're watching slowly happen is the weather is changing in different places on the planet, right? Storms are becoming more aggressive. You see flooding happening in places you never thought flooding would happen. You're looking at New York, watching a subway get flooded. People are dying in their basements. Sea levels are rising slowly but surely. And we may be kicking this can down the road as we continue to operate as if it's not really happening. But we're watching the weather. We're watching the winters become rougher. The summers are becoming hotter. We're watching so many things happening, but we're ignoring it, and we're trying to move as if it's regular. We're trying to move as if it's natural, but the reality is, slowly but surely, we are looking at things happening in the ecosystem that if we don't address it sooner rather than later, it may be too late for us as a human race. Because how long can we continue to weather this storm? And I compare it to the black boxing experience right now. I'm speaking to it in comparing it. I don't want this to become a political situation, but I'm trying to give you some context of where I'm coming from with this global warming inside of the black boxing community, inside the experience. Shout out to my brother YSM in the building. Shout out to my brother, man. My brother in arms in real life. And there's a few of us out there, brother in arms, who are really trying to understand what's going on right now, but at the same time trying to be optimistic. And I don't want to say we're trying to save the sport, because, maybe that might be making us a little bit arrogant to say that who we think we are to save the sport. But there is as a content creator, there is a sense of obligation that I'm feeling coming over me to say something that's going to help this sport, as I'm watching most of my community not be as optimistic and focus their energy on building their channels and their platforms. And maybe they're not realizing that they're tearing down the sport and where the sport is and how we got to where we are right now, and taking maybe some ownership as to why it's where it's at, and really audit ourselves and ask us, where do we want to see the sport go? Where do we want to see the sport go? And can we consciously say that we're doing everything we can in our power to push the sport in that direction? We'll talk about it, because I'm sure a lot of people would say, well, we want the sport to be clean. So, this, of course, how's that not helping this? Okay, I get it. I really get it. I don't want to argue with you. I want to build with you. So please understand, I don't even want to argue with you. I don't want to go back and forth with you and bicker with you. I don't want it to be that way, but I do want to, all of us, to take some ownership and understanding that we are the voice of this sport here in America right now. ESPN's not covering it like this. Fox Sports is not covering it like this. It's the YouTube space that's covering the sport and giving perspective to the world how to look at us as a boxing community. I want you guys to take that into consideration as I'm building on this and trying to be as authentic as I can be. I'm trying to choose the right words, because some people are going to feel attacked today. I know that. I know no matter how I try to approach this, some people are just going to be attacked. But I'm hoping there's some people who may have came in thinking that way, and maybe you can walk out with some perspective. And worst case scenario on how I'm seeing it. You don't have to agree with me on it, but maybe you'll get some clearer context to what I'm saying and how I feel about it. I digress and stay on point to say that global warming inside of the black boxing space and community. We're watching Terence Crawford right now. If you grew up watching boxing, and if you're watching what Terence Crawford has been on as far as trajectory is concerned, you might understand where a fan like me is celebrating this man and saying, wow, and wanting to see this man get his true recognition, his true accolades for what he's accomplished. Your favorite fighter isn't up against my favorite fighter in this conversation. So if your instincts right now is to bring up your favorite fighter, I'll ask you to try not to do that. To try not to bring up your favorite fighter right now, as we're talking specifically about this fighter's journey. As we talk about being champion from division, undisputed in another division, champion in another division, undisputed in another division, chasing down the people who say they're the best, to fight them, to accomplish getting belts, unifying them, becoming undisputed. The uphill battle to know that this moment right now is a moment for Terence Bud Crawford that may make all of the ridicule he went through and all of the struggle he went through finally make sense. That it might finally make sense. You ever been on a journey, guys? You ever worked your ass off for something? You ever been working your ass off for something and considered quitting on that journey? How many of us quit on that journey? But for the ones of us who didn't quit, who accomplished that ultimate goal, do you remember that feeling of looking back and all of that pain, all of that doubt, all of that hatred, all that adversity that you went through? It finally made sense. Did you ever have that moment of clarity where it finally made sense, where you didn't know why you were going through it? You might even looked up to God if you're spiritual and says, why are you putting me through it? But then you hit that day where you had an opportunity and you look back at it and you said to yourself, damn, now I see what this was all about and why I had to be that way. And at that moment, you said to yourself, I wouldn't change a damn thing, because it finally started to make sense. If we look at Terence Crawford's journey, if you ever been on that type of journey, then you might resonate. You might resonate, and maybe even resonate with why I can't believe what I see our community doing right now. Why I can't believe what I'm seeing our community do to Jerron Boots Ennis. Why I can't believe what I see our community do to a Shakur Stevenson. Where I can't understand why the hate for even a Devin Haney is just profound. Why? And I hear you, because Victor Conti. I'm trying my best not to make this about Victor Conti, because it really isn't about him. And I think that people are losing themselves in this Victor Conti situation. And we'll put perspective on it, because is Victor Conti this unique experience in boxing? Or is he really as common as a white slice of Wonder Bread, and just legitimately the tip of the iceberg on something that's always been in athletic sports across the board for years, decades, over a century, of fighters or athletes looking for the edge, quote unquote, cheating, as the science of nutrition continues to evolve, and scientists are in laboratories trying to find a legal way to improve the athletic experience, to make people as superhuman as possible so they can compete at the highest levels and break records and reach levels that have never been reached in the history of humanity, and the stakes that have been taken to do that. Is Victor Conti this unique experience, or is he more common than we like to admit? And why do I say it? I say it because in what world does that man need as much attention as our community is giving him today? Man. Shout out to the people in the room. Shout out to the wifey in the room. If you are in the room right now and you haven't hit that like button, take a moment to go ahead and do that, as she's giving y'all some good instructions. Some good advice right now. Please help the channel, man. Hit the like button, man. Share the channel, man. I wonder if we could resonate. And right now, at this moment, to make Victor Conti and his snack supplement program the biggest topic and trending topic that can happen, as we're building up and getting closer to an era-defining event, potentially, for this space. An era-defining event to where, on the back end of Top Rank being in the situation they're in, PBC being in the situation they're in, we're watching Europe, the Eastern Europeans, we're watching the UK, we're watching Saudi Arabia, we're watching Japan and Asia, we're watching them have a resurgence in the sport, growing, getting bigger as the sport continues to grow across the world, and fighters are getting their biggest paydays. But in America, boxing is struggling. And here we have this event coming up in September that could highlight us in a way that we haven't been highlighted in years, not because of anything but the inability to the resources to do it, as companies are not finding interest in investing millions and millions and millions of dollars into these fighters to put these events together, even though it may not come from where you want it to come from, because you see something happening in Saudi Arabia that you don't agree with culturally. That's your business. But this moment right now, you would think we could seize it, get behind it and push it, root for your favorite fighter, do whatever it is that you do, but understanding that this is for American boxing. But you don't see the opportunity. What you see is an opportunity to grow your channel, to get super chats, to be controversial, and as a side effect, as an inconvenient truth of doing all that, you're tearing down the sport. You're tearing it down. And you're fooling yourself, because you're saying to yourself that you're standing up for some clean sport energy, but any critical thinking adult can see that's the furthest from the truth, because we know if you were trying to clean up the sport, we know how it would look. There's a look, guys. It would look a certain way, wouldn't it? You'd go to Bam Rodriguez and you'd be like, yo, bro, you look crazy right now. I love you as a boxer, but your affiliation with this man is diabolical, bro. You're tearing the sport down, bro. I can't support you that way. We don't know if you're dirty or not, bro. This man has it. We'd go to Virgil. We'd speak, hey, brother, we don't understand what you're doing right now. This don't make no damn sense. This is hurting the sport. We go to Mario Barrios and be like, man, I know you're trying to be a great fighter, bro, and we salute you as a champion, bro, but we don't understand. This connection with Victor Conti's diabolical. We'd go to Boo Boo Andrade and be like, this ain't right. We can't call the brother. No, brother. But we're not, are we? We're not doing that. From the outside looking in, and I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm from the outside looking in because I don't relate. It's hard to see your point, man. It's hard for you to see it. It's hard for me to see 7+ people pop in a certain camp. And you tell me the reason you're not saying nothing is because they actually popped. And the reason you're talking about Terrence Brett Crawford is because he hasn't popped. I'm hearing you guys in real time say that. The reason you're not putting the attention on these other fighters is because they popped. And the reason you're putting it on the attention of these other fighters is because they haven't popped. Absolutely diabolical. I hear you guys talking. The reason you're not giving it the attention is because they popped. So that's why they get to be under the radar of the scrutiny that you're putting onto this other fighter. And the reason why these other fighters are catching the attention is because they haven't popped. Let that sizzle in your spirit. Let that sizzle in your spirit for a moment, because sometimes you don't hear what comes out of your mouth as clearly as somebody from the outside listening to you run that shit. And if you could imagine how somebody with the critical thinking skills of an adult standing on the outside listening to you spew that, how absolutely ridiculous it sounds to an unbiased, objective ear. It's close to insanity. I won't say you're insane, but it's hard. I'd appreciate perspective and context to it. That the person who deserves the scrutiny and deserves to be under the magnifying glass of performance enhancement drug use should be the person who's never popped, and that the person who's popped doesn't need the scrutiny because they've already popped. Fine, okay. I hear the argument, shout out to my brother Showbiz, for saying that, well, it shows that the system works. That's what it shows. It shows that the system works, so that's why we're not going to say anything, because the fact that they pop shows that the system works. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do you believe for one moment that the people who got caught using these performance enhancement drugs, that when they got caught, it was their first time using it? Do you take into consideration the reality that more than likely they've been using performance enhancement drugs so long, so undetected, and the system is so flawed that they actually got messy and sloppy and dropped the ball and skipped a step, and that's when they got caught? How can you use these guys getting caught using performance enhancement drugs as a barometer as to how effective the system actually is, to the point to where they don't need to be scrutinized? Walk with me. Try not to take it personal and turn this into something that it isn't. And I hope you embrace what it actually is from my perspective. Thank you for riding with me as I'm going through this right now. Allow me some time to go ahead and let my thoughts process and develop, because I didn't have this written down, but I want to communicate something to the space that has some sustenance around it today. I'm hoping I'm able to do that. So you put this jacket on this guy. This guy puts his test out, shows that he's testing regularly. VADA, a respected test collecting agency in the whole entire world, except for in this community, had been testing him regularly. He's been coming in clean. I mean, you put this jacket on him. You put this jacket on him, but you put it at a time where you didn't put it on him when he fought against Madrimov. You didn't do that to him when he was against Madrimov. You didn't really even put it on him when you fought Terrence. When you fought Errol. You did afterwards, but not before the building to that fight, right? You didn't do it when he fought against Sean Porter, right? No. You're doing it now. Why now? Why now? Yeah, 2 cents. Everybody's entitled to your opinion, 100%. Here's mine, right? So here's mine. The opinion that I'm entitled to. Here's mine, right? I appreciate your guys' opinion. I hear it. I've been listening to it, so I get it. But here's my opinion, right? So I'm going to share my opinion. I hope I'm afforded that same right that you guys are claiming for yourselves. I hope I'm afforded that same right, and I'm looked at the same way, in the same lens, that I'm just simply communicating my opinion. Respectfully, right? I hope that's what's happening. So at the end of the day, you put this jacket on this guy at this time, and the question is why? Who does it benefit? Why now? Why now? Why is it a big deal now? And why in our community? Why around the world is this fight being celebrated as one of the biggest fights of the era? Why is Adelaide Adolopo and his team over there excited about this fight? Can't wait to see this fight. Why is that fight so big around the world, but in our community, it's not what we want to see? Why do we see it that way? And they don't. And while you're figuring that out and getting your answers together and plaguing the chat up with your answers on that, how does this help, and how has it helped our community as we watch Gervonta Tank Davis not even want to fight no more, disenchanted with the sport, as we watch Jaron Boots Ennis no longer chase the biggest fights necessarily, which I still think he does, but as you guys are showing disappointment, he's not even responding to you guys, or not even communicating with you guys. As our fighters are going deaf as far as hearing us speak, as they're disconnecting from us and they're going overseas. David Benavidez is headlining in Riyadh season. Abdullah Mason will be fighting for his title in Riyadh season. Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, right? These guys are looking to go and get these opportunities overseas. As we're watching our influence become insignificant day by day by day, I'll ask you, how have we significantly, in a positive way, what data do you have to prove that the way we're approaching covering this sport is impacting the sport in a way to where we're helping anything? I don't see it. I don't see the proof of it. I don't see the data that's backing up that approach. I don't see it. Your favorite fighter doesn't talk to you, doesn't talk to your community, doesn't respond to you in a Twitter, doesn't give you the fight you want. How is your approach to being a fan of boxing affecting the sport in a positive way? I couldn't fathom being a boxer in this space right now. I couldn't fathom being a fighter in this space right now. I couldn't fathom being Jerron Boots Ennis right now. Because you'd like to believe that as a fighter, you want to get the fans going. You want to take the fans into consideration, give them the biggest fight, show them what's going on. But in a mean, cold, entitled world that we're in today, to hear the boxing fans speak on fighters today, what fighter in their right mind would look to do anything for this community? What fighter in their right mind? What management promoter in their right mind would listen to this community and give a damn about what this community thinks? In your arrogance and in your moment of entitlement, as you sit there and you boast your right to speak your mind, and nobody is telling you not to speak your mind. Truly appreciate you speaking your mind. But in what world does a fighter dial into that shit? What world? In what world, as a fighter, do I subject myself to being tolerated versus potentially being celebrated on a world platform? In what world do I entertain content creators throwing jackets on me, using the word duck like it ain't nothing on me, speaking on me, where I know that none of y'all could ever even achieve or accomplish a fraction of what I've done in this physically stressful environment, that you could just sit your fat ass, your out of shape ass, your never been in the trenches ass, safely behind your computer monitor and talk down on me? You can have that. You can have it. And I want to be clear. They're clearly letting you have it, as actions have always spoke louder than words could ever speak. Actions have always spoke louder than words. There's something about walk that just mutes talk, mutes it, makes talk what it is. Hot air, vocal cords running, air running past vocal cords, making sounds. Don't add up to nothing as your boxers take one step away from you every single day in their actions. Even your favorite boxers, as they tell you they want to retire and boxing is full of shit. Excuse the language. As they respond to your support with Keyshawn Davis speaking on, he's basically retired. As Shakur Stevenson says, titles ain't important. I'm looking for making the biggest fights, as he stretches and he tells Conor Ben, let's make a fight happen in the UK. Yeah, I'll go up to 140. I'll go 140. I'm just trying to, as he becomes a prize fighter. As all these things are happening, as David Benavidez fights to make a fight happen in America, in Vegas, and he speaks on his platforms and in his interviews, and he says, I want to entertain my fans. And Samson Leakowitz says, yeah, bro. But they end up headlining a card in Riyadh season. As they're becoming into their own and having understanding. Shout out to Jose Benavidez Sr., who said, man, he loved boxing. He trained his kids to be the best in the world and wanted to compete against the best in the world. But one thing he had to learn, and he's learning right now, is the business of boxing. Ooh. What is he learning about the business of boxing? He learning that it don't pay to play over here. It don't pay to play here. That all the talking and all the nonsense and all the bolstering and chest puffing out and cussing each other out don't add up to no bags for these fighters. As Gervonta Tank Davis can't find the inspiration or the motivation to get in the ring to fight nobody. When you hear rumors circulate about his entertaining fights with the likes of a YouTuber called Jake Paul, where does that come from? No, there's a reality. There's a reality that's deeper than any bullshit conversation that can happen with some YouTubers on the screen. There's a reality settling in. It's boxing global warming in the Black American space. Boxing global warming as we kick the can down the road and the rains are becoming way more torrentially impacting things are flooding. Your air conditioning units are breaking because heat is going up. It's becoming hotter on this planet called the Black American boxing experience. And a few of you have found a way to profit off of it. Haven't you? Found a way to make some lemonade out this bitch. Haven't you? You found a way to make a living out this, and your nearsighted ass can't see the bigger picture. Can't see it. Can't look past your nose, can you? Because your Kool-Aid picture is full, ain't it? No matter how close to becoming a diabetic, no matter how close you're becoming to going through diabetic shock, that sweet Kool-Aid, bro, that red 40 in it, just can't stop drinking it. Man, bro, let me tell you, bro, it's not too easy. It's not too hard, excuse me. You know what I mean? It's not too hard. So we're tearing it down, guys, right? We're attacking fighters. We're calling fighters cheats. We're calling them steroids. We say we're saying what we believe, right? Shout out to you. We're saying what we believe. I believe he's on steroids. That's what I believe. That's what I believe. Yeah, I know he got an event coming up fighting against Canelo Alvarez, and I know it's supposed to be this big event, but you know what? I just got to keep it real. I just feel compelled to say something. I feel compelled to speak on this because, you know, this has been a problem going on for years, man. This is a mission. I feel compelled. I'm compelled to say something. This is the time to do it. I think he's a juice monster. Yeah, I said it. I know it's going to shake up the algorithm. I said it. He a juice monster. You're compelled to tell you the truth. I hear you, brother. You're compelled to tell the truth, man. You will not be muzzled. You will speak. No one will tell me what to say and what not to say. I will speak my truth. And my truth is, I think the most important thing to talk about right now is Victor Conte. Hey, man, I can't be mad at you, bro. It is your right to speak your mind. But I'm starting to realize that maybe I need to take advantage of my platform and start speaking my mind. I should probably speak my mind. Maybe all the reservation that I've been taking to entertain the masses and speak on boxing and not speaking to these matters, because I don't know, in my mind, I thought if I didn't speak on it, I wouldn't be feeding it. And therefore, that was my fight. But in essence, what's happening is you won't stop speaking on it. So your narrative is growing. So maybe it's my responsibility to speak against the bullshit. So we will. We'll speak on it from time to time. We'll address it as we see it. We'll call it out for what it is. As you'll continue to do your job. You don't have to change anything up because you've been continuing to speak your mind, right? So I got to do my job. I've got to play my part in this game, because it's one thing to complain about it, but it's another thing to use your voice in the right way. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. As I stated earlier on this show, this YouTube space has elevated and grown me, right? I'm growing in a way that I don't think I would have grown out in this world, because I've had to learn how to use my words in a way that I never had to do before. Something about that physical presence stops a lot of the disrespect, stops a lot of the nonsense, because that physical thing is so much more real. But this internet space, you're dealing with real freedom of speech out here, and people talk. Ooh, do they ever use their freedom of speech? Ooh, they use that shit. Wow. I'm learning though, and I appreciate all the pushback, all the lessons, all the understanding that I've gotten from this space. Priceless. Priceless. Couldn't put a number on it if I tried, man. Couldn't put a number on it. Man, it is what it is. So yeah, man, you guys will do what you do. I'm going to do what I do, and we're going to build whatever it is we're building. Maybe at some point we'll meet and end up on the same page again. But until then, if you're full of shit, you're full of shit. Terrence Crawford being a cheat is nonsense. Simple-minded of you to speak that. If you come from anywhere where I come from. I had a friend of mine who did, like, how long did this? Somewhere between 12 to 15 years, came out. And he was explaining to me the politics of the prison yard. You know, people would come on the yard, you had to present your paperwork. And he told me there was consequences, because people would go around the yard and put rat jackets on people in the yard. Well, the guy who put the rat jacket on whoever he did had to provide proof. If he didn't provide proof and it turned out that you just put that jacket on somebody for no reason, the consequences would be running accordingly, right? Same thing with the guy coming onto the yard. He had to have his paperwork to a certain degree, right, to prove it. Proof was everything, because words just didn't hold the weight. But in this world, words hold all the weight. And even in the face of proof, in the face of documentation, it doesn't hold the weight of perception. It doesn't hold the weight. So nowadays, everybody will say whatever they feel like saying, and it holds the weight of reality behind it when it's not. Terrence Crawford has not shown me or shown you guys anything that shows that he's been on steroids. Him being in a picture looking swole as he's in the gym working out. If you've ever been in the gym and you ever worked out, you understand how it works. You swell up with water. You take creatine to put water into your muscles so that you can work out longer, so you don't cramp up and things of that nature. This is how the body reacts, inflammation to stress. This is not showing that he's on steroids. Him jump roping with weights around his neck. I know you sitting in your chair doing nothing all day long but running your fucking fat mouth, so you don't get it. But if you ever watch boxing for real and don't just run your mouth, you know that this is how fighters train. They jump rope with weights around their neck, bro. They jump rope with weights around their ankles, bro. They do all types of things to get themselves ready. This is what it is. His tests have come back negative. He's tested regularly. If you're putting a jacket on this man and saying that you think he's on steroids, it's your right to do it. I'm going to let you know you sound like a dumbass to a nigga like me. That's how I feel. I'm just communicating how I feel. It doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean nothing. It's just how I feel. I'm be honest with you. I don't want to dish you respectfully. I'm going to keep it real. But if you're putting a jacket on him and you ain't got no proof, you sound ignorant to the bone marrow to a person like me. Probably going to lose my attention a little bit, right? Probably going to stop listening to you after a while because you start sounding like an idiot. Can't support that. It is what it is. I would encourage anybody in the boxing space to hold any content creator accountable. And If they can't back it up with proof, I'd advise you to move accordingly. You should have something of sustenance to back up stupidity. It's better to be thought of than to move your mouth and remove all doubt, right? So if you're putting a jacket on him and you can't prove it, it is what it is. We're going to get into some boxing right now and get into the conversation of boxing right now. Salute to everybody who's weathered this storm with me, rocking with me at this point. We're about an hour and 15 minutes into this. I appreciate you allowing me to be long-winded, get my thoughts off. I'll land my plane on this topic right here for now. As things develop in the space, we'll address it accordingly. We'll speak to you. We'll speak to it, right? Thank you guys for being in the building. Now let's get into some boxing. So Keyshawn Davis comes out and apologizes. 70 people in the building. Please, let's make sure we hit the like button. Support the channel. I might have earned a couple thumbs down. Whatever it is, support the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, take a moment. Thank you, Bradley. Yes, I won't take it personal because you know damn well I'm bald-headed, man. But I get it. But you know I ain't got no damn hair on my head, bro. I think you being funny right now. Bradley, you being funny? You know damn well I ain't got no hair on my head, bro. You ain't got no hair in your head. Anyway, I won't. Oh, yeah, okay, fine. Fine, Bradley. Boy, I ain't got no damn hair in my head. You know damn well I ain't got no hair in my head. Keyshawn Davis does a very interesting, he hits the wave last week sometime and speaks to the boxing space, and he leaves us shook. He shakes your algorithm up and has most of the boxing space buzzing right now about him potentially. I know you, Ball Bradley. You know what I mean? And he's hinting towards retirement. Where do we see where I feel about that right now? Well, look, man, it's a growing experience for Keyshawn Davis. We know what he went through recently in his event that was supposed to be one of his biggest events. It was going to be it was going to push him into the next into the stratosphere as far as star power is concerned, as he got an opportunity to follow up his first performance in Virginia with an even bigger event with all his brothers on the card, and he was going to defend it against a name now in Edwin De Los Santos, a common name with his brother Shakur Stevenson. Gave him the opportunity to just show and prove that this wasn't just a fly-by-night situation. This wasn't just the stars aligning the right way for him, that he's actually who he says he is, and he dropped the ball. He lost his belt on the scale. That weekend ended up being a very crazy weekend. We know about the Najee Albright situation. We know about how everything ended up turning out. He lost a lot of money for a lot of big money guys. Top Rank took a real black eye on an event that was going to be a defining event for them, as I'm sure they're still in the midst of negotiations with networks and things of that nature and trying to lock in the best deals possible. This could not have helped them out, right? There's an argument to say that this didn't help out any argument they had with an HBO or an Amazon or a DAZN or a Netflix or who knows who was interested or entertaining doing work with them. That probably didn't affect them in the best way. And on the back end of that, Keyshawn Davis went into somewhat of a hiatus, disappearing from the boxing space, right? Disappearing from the space, and we were waiting on him. His brother, Kelvin, came out and made a statement, apologized to the community, and said he promises he would improve. I ain't gonna lie to you. Give me a second, guys. I gotta pull this off. Come on. Woo. Well, yeah. Woo. Woo! Why do I got that thing on me in my own damn house? Anyway. So, he disappeared for a moment. Guys, he disappeared, and we wonder what was going on with Keyshawn Davis. Last we heard from Keyshawn Davis, he was going to go to 140. He was done with the 135-pound weight class division. He lost his belt on the scale. We're waiting on finding out what the word is. But this in the midst of Top Rank obviously going through their transition period. So I wasn't expecting to see Keyshawn in 2025 again, in the ring at least. Me personally, I wasn't. I completely embrace the idea that we probably wouldn't see him inside of the ring until 2026, just based on what's happening with Top Rank and ESPN, right? They got, as far as I'm concerned, their calendar has what it has, and they're probably not looking to make their new calendar until they figure out how these deals are going to work out, what kind of time slots they have, what type of, until they figure that out, I didn't expect them to announce any more cards for this year. I thought their schedule was pretty filled up as it was, and they had a decent year. But he comes out on Instagram and he speaks to where he's been, where his mentality is at. And by the end of his about 3 to 5 minute spiel, I don't know how long it was. Was it 10 minutes, 11 minutes, 12 minutes? I don't know how long it was. But after his spiel, we walked away feeling like he's going to retire. How do we feel about it? Where am I at with this whole idea of him retirement thing? I think naturally Keyshawn Davis is dealing with the consequences of what he did right now. And the consequences may be a little bit of silent treatment, a little bit of uncertainty as far as his future in the sport is concerned. I'm sure Bob Arum and the people who represent Keyshawn Davis isn't just, champ, we got you. We got all these things planned for you. Don't worry about it. I'm sure there's some accountability happening right now for Keyshawn Davis, and he has to figure that out. Do I think he's going to retire? No, right now, I don't feel that way. Does he feel like he should just retire? He may feel that way based off of phones not being answered or questions not being answered or next fight not being planned out. And maybe he's used to a certain amount of attention that he's normally used to getting as an up and coming star of Top Rank. And now not being looked at the same way, he might be feeling a little discouraged. And it's good. It may be good for Keyshawn to get that understanding that as much as you can have it, as much as you can have it all, that one bad decision could change the whole entire trajectory of your career. And hopefully what that does for Keyshawn is it impacts him in a way to where he cherishes and he takes this opportunities that he has more seriously, right? That he protects it a little bit more, that as a professional, he embraces that part of the game, that he needs to make sure as the quote unquote businessman he says he is, that he has those boxes checked. Because not only has it affected him the way it has, but it looks like it's also trickling down to his brothers, as rumors are also circulating that Keon may have also lost his deal with Top Rank or, something of that nature. That's what the rumors may be spinning around the space saying. So not only is Keyshawn's action affecting him in an adverse way, but the people around him, his city even, dare I say, may have been impacted by the way boxing may be embraced by the system, by the state, right? By the law, by the government, by the people who are the vehicles that will facilitate these big events for him. And it's affected a lot. Keyshawn has to figure that out. So it could feel kind of lonely where he's at. He seems to be ready to deal with that one way or the other. But one thing he definitely said in that situation was, in that little interview or whatever you want to call it, that little Instagram live thing he did, he said, listen, if you want me to fight, though, what he asked for, support. Was that a segue? I won't go backwards. But our support may make the biggest difference on what Keyshawn does with his future. I personally, prayers out to you, brother. Definitely support you as a fighter. Love what Keyshawn Davis does in the ring. If it's about interest from the boxing space in the Keyshawn Davis business inside the ring, I would say there's no argument there. You'd be just hating and lying to yourself to say that you wouldn't love to hear that Keyshawn Davis is announced in another fight. But will he have to prove himself to to the Bob Arums of the world, to his management, to the investors in the world, maybe the Turkey Al Sheiks of the world? Does he have to prove himself? I'm sure he does. I hope you're willing to do that. And I hope those guys give you an opportunity to do that. And when that does happen, you take that opportunity and you show and prove that you've grown as a man, right? We'll hope that happens for Keyshawn Davis. Moving down the line from Keyshawn Davis at 140 pounds, 135, wherever he's going to end up, I do want to speak a little bit on the Gervonta Tank Davis situation, as things are not developing in a way that would have us believing that he's going to fight anytime soon. Now, I hear some content creators trying to decipher and do what I see a lot of creators have done when it comes to Gervonta Tank Davis, which is they take the silence and they try to find the crumbs in the midst of the silence, right? They try to find the crumbs inside of a Calvin Ford interview or inside of a video that may come out or some sort of promo that you might see. And you try to find the crumbs and you're trying to put it together. I'm not as gifted as you guys are at putting crumbs together in silence. Silence is very difficult for me to look at silence as anything else but silence, right? That's me personally. So that being said, how do I got to process it? I seen Lamont Roach Sr. come out and do an interview. Shout out to my brother, Mill City. Great interview with Lamont Roach Sr. Speaking, Lamont Roach Sr. said he had questions about the fight even happening in the first place. He had doubts, and now more than ever, he doesn't believe that his son and Tank Davis will see each other in 2025 at least, maybe in 2026, but he doesn't see that happening. I'd have to co-sign that. I don't see any evidence of that happening. I know some people would like to believe that there's a marketing strategy or some genius marketing happening by making people uncertain about when a fight's going to happen. I've never understood that, but then again, I don't have a degree in marketing, so don't quote me. But last time I checked, if I'm trying to throw a party, the best way for me to get people to come to the party is to promote the party. I've never been able or been excited to go to a party I don't believe is going to happen. Hasn't worked for me. So, I can't get excited. If you give me a flyer and on the flyer it says this party may happen on this day, I don't know, maybe it will. I can't tell you nothing, but be there. I'm making plans for that Saturday that have nothing to do with that party, right? That's all face value. That's how I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to make plans outside of that party because I don't see a party happening. So the silence is deafening to the boxing, to the Gervonta Tank Davis boxing fans, and they're trying to make something of it. Good luck with that. I'll say that there's a lot of other boxing going on, and that's where we're going to focus our energies on, the actual fights that are actually happening right now. I'm going to wish Gervonta Tank Davis luck on his court situation. I hope he figures that out. And then also, I hope he also figures out how he feels about the sport of boxing. And is he willing to give us or commit to any type of activity that's significant for boxing fans in the space today who want to watch him fight, but also have interest in him fighting specific fighters. Hopefully he takes that time to roll that around in his mind and figure out what he wants to do, whether it's going to be at 135, whether it's going to be at 140, or whether he's going to retire altogether, or whether he's going to make some super fight, with some guy who's, multiple weight classes away from him. Whatever it is he does, as that information comes out, we'll communicate it and I'll react to it accordingly. Right now, I don't see anything happening over there except for him figuring out his personal issues with the legal ramifications that he's put himself under, dealing with his baby mother and things of that nature. So we'll see how that ends up turning out. That being said, where does Lamont Roach go at this point based on the information he has, which is that he doesn't have a fight lined up? Lamont Roach has a lot of opportunities that seem to have rolled out for him. He can, Shakur Stevenson has shown interest in fighting Lamont Roach. It looks like Gary Russell Jr. is showing interested in fighting him. Lamont Roach has also expressed interest in fighting Gary Antoine Russell at 140. He's a current 130-pound WBA champion right now. That division is moving around accordingly right now. We'll talk about other players in that division, specifically Raymond Ford, who will be fighting next week against Abraham Nova in that 130-pound division. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But as far as Lamont Roach is concerned, I think the world is sitting back trying to figure out what he's going to do. I've expressed interest on how I thought the WBA might consider, how the WBA might consider dealing with the current state of Gervonta Tank Davis, as he doesn't seem like a fighter who's available to make fights right now, whether he's doing it on purpose himself or whether or not his legal issues are preventing him from doing it. Either way, the WBA might take some consideration as far as the status of that title that he holds. The division should be allowed to move on and given a way to move on. I've already offered my solution, where I believe that maybe offering him a champion in recess position might give him an opportunity to figure out what he's doing without completely giving up his belt, but also, putting an interim version of that belt or whatever have you, in the conversation, and allowing, maybe a Floyd Schofield, like I stated earlier, and a Lamont Roach to fight for that belt. That, lets the division move forward. We can talk about unifications. We can make big fights with Shakur Stevenson. We can make big fights with Abdullah Mason, or the winner between Abdullah Mason and Sam Noakes. We can get Raymond Moratala in the conversation. We can see the division move forward. We'll see what the WBA decides to do with that. Maybe they'll just allow him to hold the belt. It wouldn't shock me. They allowed Jermell Charlo Jamal Charlo to walk around. Well, the WBC did walk around with a belt, not defended in 2 years, not even fight in 2 years, right? But hopefully we learn from our past. Hopefully these sanctioning bodies are learning and they're growing and they start looking at it for what it is. And if there's anything that can be done, maybe a 130-pound WBA champion who arguably beat that current champion, or at least on paper ran it to a draw, could fight against a fighter who had a great fight in a Floyd Schofield Jr., having a significant stoppage of a great name on his resume in Tevin Farmer. Maybe putting those guys together to fight for a vacant title, or a champion in recess interim title might be a good idea for the division. But we'll see. We'll see what they end up doing with that. That being said, Lamont Roach has decisions to make. Senior seems to have communicated also that if he had it in a perfect world right now, it looks like the fight he's most interested in is Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson has shown he's not going to be active again until 2026, according to Turki Al-Sheikh. So will Lamont Roach team go ahead and not fight until 2026? We're right now in August, so we've got September, October, November, December, 4 to 5 months left in this year. Will Lamont go ahead and take in another 4 to 5 years? I would put him outside of the ring for well over half a year at this point. Or does he tap into the activity? And if he is going to tap into the activity, what fights would he make? I think the Gary Antoine Russell fight sounds good, but I don't know how realistic that is. As Gary, maybe it is. Gary Antoine was supposed to be on the undercard of Gervonta Tank Davis. That's what rumors was saying. I think he was supposed to be fighting against Hirocha potentially. I'm not too sure, but maybe he does put that fight with Gary Antoine Russell, being that Gary Antoine Russell is a WBA champion right now at 140 pounds. So maybe that is a fight he can entertain. He can leverage maybe, I guess, his 130-pound title up at 140. Or does he stay in the 135 division and stay ready to fight a Gervonta Tank Davis when he returns? And, maybe he entertains fighting Shakur Stevenson and trying to get a title, making it a big unification fight between him and Tank if he's able to beat Shakur Stevenson. All those options are on the table. Sound good. We'll see what ends up coming out on that. That being said, moving forward with more news as the Jaron Boots Ennis situation continues to evolve and develop. As we now have some sort of a fantasy list that Jaron Boots Ennis may be entertaining. Names like Charles Conwell seem to be on that list. Josh Kelly's name still on that list, of course. I don't, amazingly enough, see Jesus Ramos' name on that list, which is kind of crazy. I thought last time we talked about this, it felt like Jesus Ramos was almost a good shoe-in for the conversation, as we broke down and saw how it would have been a chess move in the WBA sanctioning body to fight Jesus Ramos. But now, as this fantasy list comes out, we don't hear nothing about it, right? Shout out to, let me address the support in the color in the chat. I didn't even realize, God, I've been running my mouth when we had a couple of support come out there. Okay, 1 second here. Rashad Wilson in the building says, ain't no reason every black person is not behind Bud for this fight. If he was white, he would be the biggest athlete in the world. Stop the Bud hate. 100% Rashad Wilson, 100%, brother. I agree with you 100%. Shout out to my brother Adel Choice. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Walaikum salam. Says boxing is always tribal, and that self-hate Kool-Aid comes with credentials of mainstream medium. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, man. I really do agree with you, man. It is what it is, right? So, yeah, Jaron Boots Ennis right now, listen, man, it doesn't seem easy for him to make these fights happen. Eddie Hearn taking it on his shoulders to put together these fights. I think what we're looking at, guys, is a boxing space. And as far as boxers are concerned, who are looking at Jaron Boots Ennis as a high price ticket, and they believe they should be making their biggest paydays when they fight against Jaron Boots Ennis. And I get it, right? Because when you have the cosign of a Turki Al-Sheikh and things of that nature, and you see him at 154, maybe the first thing coming to their mind is Turki's giving out these big paydays. But as Turki's communicated, and as Eddie Hearn is also co-signed to say that Turki's interested in certain fights, and if he's not Jaron Boots Ennis, not interested in fighting those fights right now, Turki's not on the menu, right? He's not part of the pay package. That being said, fighters have to become a lot more realistic about where Jaron is and where they are, and these opportunities for fighting Jaron Boots Ennis are probably more so on the biggest stages, and also as far as resume concerned, having a Jaron Boots Ennis on your resume, that can do a lot for your career and put you into your biggest paydays in the future. But right now, Jerron Boots Ennis and Eddie Hearn don't seem to be in a position to give fighters like Josh Kelly or Rashidi Ellis or these other names that are on this list their biggest paydays per se, right? Maybe their biggest paydays if 250,000, 300,000 is your biggest payday you ever got. But outside of that, the reality is that's not the type of status Jerron is at just yet. He's on the cusp of doing something like that significant. Once he gets those big fights, that's when we could probably entertain these big paydays for these fighters. But it looks like trying to find a fighter for Jerron Boots Ennis seems like he's back in that same position where he's a high risk, low reward fighter. The chances of you beating him are not that great, and you want to make sure you get that payday on the back end. That makes sense. So as they struggle, we'll see as it develops. Looking forward to hear and figure out what Jerron Boots Ennis is going to do, what kind of fight he's going to put together. At this point, I just want to see him active. I think activity is important to these fighters. If you follow my channel long enough, you know how I feel about that. So it is what it is, right? It is what it is. We'll take a look at it from that perspective as things develop for him. Eddie Hearn potentially putting Jerron Boots Ennis in protective custody. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I get it, right? People want to blame Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn, as a promoter and manager of Jerron Boots Ennis, puts himself in the crosshairs of being held accountable for what happens with his fighter right now. So why is Jerron Boots Ennis taking tune-ups? Why is he not going for the biggest fights? It seems like the paydays are there for him against a Virgil Ortiz or the biggest fights that could be made, maybe against a Bakram. Seems like Turkey does have fights that he's interested in for Jerron Boots Ennis, but Eddie Hearn and Jerron Boots Ennis don't seem to be as interested in these fights right now as Turkey is. So Eddie Hearn and Jerron Boots Ennis is on their own. What is Eddie Hearn's doing? Is this a benefit for Jerron Ennis or does it hurt Jerron Ennis? Because there's one of multiple ways that we could look at this Jerron Boots Ennis situation. One of it is developing him into being the biggest star he could possibly be. I don't want to say cherry picking fights, but I'll say that building him up organically inside of the division instead of putting him directly into the biggest fights. Does that benefit him in any way? Well, if the paydays aren't there, maybe building him up does benefit him. But at the same time, we got to remember when Jerron Boots Ennis spoke about at the end of his fight against Karen, he spoke about how significant the biggest challenges were to him, that he would have to get up for fights and that he faulted or he threw a lot of shots at the way he fought against Karen to the fact that he couldn't get up for Karen. So there's also that part of the argument to say that Jerron Boots Ennis could digress. Maybe there's an argument to say there that he may become lulled into bad habits and things of that nature that might get him punched in ways he wouldn't got punched if he kept the competition at the highest level, right? So there's an argument one way or another to say that, okay, yes, but no. On the other side of Jerron Boots Ennis fighting the best fights out there, we know that he's going to be alert, he's going to train, he's going to take these fighters seriously, and we're going to watch him become a better fighter. So what is Eddie Hearn exactly tapping into by putting the world on his shoulders when it comes to Jerron Boots Ennis instead of using that resource of Turkey Al-Sheikh? He's risking the fact that Jerron Boots Ennis can digress as a fighter under his watch, that he can lose Jerron Boots Ennis, pushing Jerron Boots Ennis into these fights that aren't going to be as competitive for him, where he could gain a lot more, allowing him to move forward and fight the best fights out there and get the biggest paydays now in his career. I think Jerron Boots Ennis is sitting about 27, 28 years old, somewhere in that range. Time moves forward, waits for no man. But we'll sit back and watch those things develop and see how that looks for Jerron Boots Ennis as it comes together. Rick Glazer puts out a tweet speaking on Jerron Boots Ennis, seeing that he's hearing that he's being babied in an unimaginable way, right? Unimaginable way. So rumors are spreading around, and boxing pundits in the space are sharing their opinions. And as time is going by, and as we're not hearing what his next fights are going, where they're going, the boxing community is becoming very restless, and he's being held accountable in a way that, you know, I don't think he probably likes it, but he's probably, you know, not looking at his phone. You know what I'm saying? He's probably not looking at his phone as much as he used to, as I don't think he's getting a lot of positive feedback from the boxing space. We'll see what ends up happening. For him, Jesus Ramos, I didn't see him on that list. What let me see here. Dragonfly Jones says if Jesus Ramos isn't already booked or turned the fight down, that would be a good fight for Boots. Yeah, but I don't see Jesus Ramos on that list. I mean, you know, just because he's not on that list doesn't mean he's not being negotiated with or that an actual offer hasn't been sent over to him. But as we can see, a lot of fighters who have gotten offers from Jerome Boots Ennis, it does seem to be a trending thing, or from Eddie Hearn. It does seem like those offers haven't been making them happy, right? Shout out to HLD, my guy in the building, said there is only one way to look at Boots. He's a certified super duck Philly soup special. Like I said, the boxing space is becoming restless as they're waiting on figuring out what Boots is going to do next. So his next move, hopefully, be his best move. But activity is super important for a fighter like Jerome Boots Ennis. Any athlete, any boxer or athlete, however you want to look at it, reps make or break these guys. I'm talking about basketball, football, boxing, whatever it is. Reps make or break these guys. The more they can get on the stage, the more they can move around, the more rhythm they're able to keep, and the more consistent they can be with their performances. When you take fighters like a Devin Haney, for example, right? Or even like, we'll talk about the heavyweight division a little bit later, but a Joseph Parker, or athletic fighters, right? We can go back to Roy Jones. Fighters like that need activity, because as they become inactive, they lose their rhythm. And this is when you see the big upsets happening. Fighters who aren't as active, that are athletic, lose it a little bit. So a fighter like Jerome Boots Ennis, to me, is a fighter who has a lot of rhythm. He has a lot of muscle memory, a lot of intuition that he has in that ring. That's what he uses. He's not just flat-footed, walking forward, punching on you. He's a fighter who benefits off of activity. So that's got to be the most important thing, in my opinion, for Jerome Boots Ennis. We'll see what ends up happening for him. Let's see here. Ill Will says these fans blame the fighter trying to fight instead of the ones that ain't trying to. I think that's a good perspective, Ill Will. Yeah, definitely. I think these fighters, it takes two to make a party, right? But at the same exact time, Eddie Hearns has to figure that balance out, because this really falls on his shoulders, because he has to take into consideration that how other fighters look at Jerome Boots Ennis. They look at him like something very dangerous. And they're looking at him as somebody who the reward needs to match the risk. And he needs to take into real consideration what that reward looks like. And if you can't afford to give that reward, if that's something that's not in your wheelhouse of resources to tap into to make those big fights happen, then you should consider using the tools you have on the table, which is Turki Al-Sheikh, and maybe speak to your fighter about how important and integral that understanding is to his career moving the way he wants it to move, right? HLD says Boots is the only one to blame. I disagree, right? I think that the fights need to be put on, and Boots doesn't pay for the fights out of his pocket. This is something that's been ongoing when it comes to Ron Boots Ennis. Hunter Young says, so what Claymore Rain is saying, Eddie is cheap as hell. Yeah, Hunter. Yeah, hey, bro, I don't have no problem with that. Yeah, man, I think you're being cheap. I do question if he can afford to not be cheap, right? It's something, it is what it is. If I go into the store, I could like those shoes on the wall, but if they running me $750, am I being cheap when I don't buy them, or am I just being honest that I can't afford to buy them? There's an old saying, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't even be trying, right? When you in the club, when I used to be in the club guy going to the club, when we ordered our bottles, we didn't ask the price. You know what I mean? Why? Because if you asking the price and you can't afford it, right? We just ordered. Let me get a bottle of Crisp, a bottle of Belvy. Let me get a couple bottles of Fiji water. Yeah, let's get that going. You know what I'm saying? Bucket of ice. Let's get it going. Let's go. What's up? We need. Okay, yeah. Let me get a bottle of that Julio too. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. We didn't, right? And if we couldn't do it that way, then why were we in the section? Why are we there? Why weren't we down there with the regular folk at the bar waiting on the bartender, flagging down bartenders get drinks for our circle, right? Why are you up in here frauding in the VIP section when ain't nothing VIP about your ass? And Eddie Hearn may have to take that into consideration, that Jerome Boots Ennis is an expensive bottle of your favorite drink aged. And if you're in the VIP section and you order a bottle of Jerome Boots Ennis, that might need a pause. I don't know. If it does, there it is. I just said it. But if it doesn't, I appreciate it. But if you're going to order that expensive bottle, you shouldn't be concerned with the price. And what it costs for Jerome Boots Ennis to get in these big fights is offering fighters their biggest paydays. That's just the way it's going to be. That's the way it's always been. Cameron Duncan struggled with the same thing. Steven Espinosa struggled with the same thing. Eddie Hearn, you're going to suffer with the same with the same thing. He's expensive. You got to pay out. You got to find a way to make money. Maybe Jerron Boots Ennis is what he is, which is a pay-per-view fighter. Maybe you cannot put him on the free stage business model. That's just something that you can't afford to do. And if you're going to do it, you got to spend money and maybe not make a profit. Odd advice, and don't take my advice. Take it with a grain of salt, because I'm just a content creator. I ain't putting up millions of dollars, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But I would think that Turki Al-Sheikh seems to be like a legitimate option, and he should be getting used to help facilitate what Jerron Boots Ennis needs. It is what it is, right? So, guys, let's talk about rumors circulating around the space of the PBC and Top Rank, and Golden Boy collaborating. Now, this rumor was actually spinning a little while back. If you guys remember when David Benavidez and Zurdo Ramirez was rumoring to be into potential negotiations, the PBC and Golden Boy rumors were spinning then about the collaboration. Well, it's resurfaced again. The collaboration now being a potential fight between Virgil Ortiz and Keith Thurman. And I believe Frank Martin may also be coming out in this card to potentially fight an Arnold Barbosa. Just to mention two other fights that might be of multiple fights. The PBC, very open since they've left Showtime 2 years ago, specifically this year, very open to these collaborations. We've heard Bob Arum speak with the same language, and now we're seeing Oscar De La Hoya speaking of the same language, trying to put these fights together. Whatever reason you'd like to put behind why, more than why is a reality of is, right? And it looks like this may have some meat to the bone as far as the rumors are concerned. Virgil Ortiz also into it with Xander Zayas, so I was kind of interested to see as to what Virgil Ortiz was going to do. Was he going to entertain the opportunity of becoming a champion in the division, or does he fight a Keith Thurman that could be a decent money fight, as Oscar De La Hoya is managing Virgil Ortiz's career? I haven't heard of these things coming together as far as contracts or offers being sent out just yet. But I think it's going to be interesting to see which direction a fighter like Virgil Ortiz decides to go in. Is he going to be a company man and fight against a Keith Thurman just to fight him, or does he, pursue an opportunity to become a champion if that really is on the table? That's what I'll be looking at, trying to figure out where his mind is at and trying to figure out how much influence Virgil does have on that team as well. We'll be watching that closely. Frank Martin also looking to make a return. We haven't seen Frank Martin in the ring until his loss against Tank Davis. This would be at 140 pounds. Arnold Barbosa coming off of his loss of a 12-round fight with Teofimo Lopez, looking to restate himself as one of the top guys at 140. This is a big fight for Frank Martin, in my opinion. I think it's a significant fight. A lot of I think Arnold Barbosa at this point does have a name at 140, as he was undefeated going into that Teofimo fight, and took Teofimo to 12 rounds, right? Didn't get stopped, didn't get sat in his pockets. Arguably, did he get dominated? One might look at it that way, but I don't know if I would say he got dominated, but I say he got beat convincingly by a fighter like Teofimo Lopez, who brings his own legacy and his own pedigree to the space. Nothing to hold your head down about losing to Teofimo Lopez. But at the end of the day, this is a bigger opportunity, in my opinion, for Frank Martin. I think Arnold Barbosa holds just enough weight with his name that it'll carry over and give Frank Martin the boost he needs to get into championship fights sooner rather than later at 140 pounds. If Keyshawn Davis does make his return and it's at 140, with fighters like Emiliano Vargas also making a move up, incoming fighters at 140, this would be a great fight for Frank Martin to get into the conversation. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with him. Inactivity can hurt these fighters, and he's been inactive. So we got to see what that's going to end up looking like. Let's see here. Moving on. I already talked about Lamont Roach. We talked about Oscar De La Hoya a little bit. Ryan Garcia resurfacing in the space. Seems like he's trying to get a fight, getting back. Amazingly enough, Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero, which I thought was a fight that should happen again. I know it wasn't that much of an exciting fight, but look, man, redemption, you would think that they'd be interested in doing that, especially right now with Rolly Romero being elevated to a full WBA champion, you would think that Ryan Garcia would entertain that fight and want to get into that fight. Maybe even Turkey might be interested in putting that fight together, but Oscar De La Hoya recently interviewed, said that he's not interested in putting the fight together. It wasn't an exciting fight and this, that, and the other. How do we look at that? Is there some fear in there? Is there some, was that just a business strategic move from Oscar De La Hoya's part as far as Rolly Romero not being that kind of a fighter, or is it a little bit of fear in there? Because look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If we're talking about PBC versus Golden Boy Promotion, then I think that's a great fight. A rematch between Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia. Listen, that might be the fight that should be made. And if it's not going to be Rolly Romero, then who is Ryan Garcia going to fight against? Who is Oscar De La Hoya interested in putting Ryan Garcia in the ring with? In the ring to put that fight together. You could look at Teofimo Lopez as potentially being a fighter that could be in a conversation, being that his opportunity seems, Teofimo's burnt a lot of bridges in the space. So we got to see what it is. But it was real interesting to see Oscar De La Hoya's point of view on that. I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you. I thought that, Ryan would definitely be interested in getting that back. Never looked at Ryan as somebody who's ducking smoke. I never looked at him that way. I'm not the biggest fan of Ryan Garcia, but always kind of believed he always wanted to challenge, face the biggest challenges, but it is what it is, right? Let me see here. Okay, people talk, I'm just kind of looking here, what we're talking about here. So you just believe Kerr, let me see here. No, I believe, what are we talking about? We talking about Shakur Stevenson and let me get in on the conversation. Instead of me pushing my little agenda, let me get into what the chat's talking about. Guys, we got about 60 people in the building. Let's make sure we're hitting that like button as we're coming in the building. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and make sure you do that. But definitely hit the like button, man. We only got 59 likes in here. I know we can do way better than that. I'm sure there's a solid 20 of you that haven't hit that like button yet. Please take a moment to go ahead and do that as well. Let me see here. What are we talking about here? Tank? What are we talking about here? Hide that. Say he wants to do one fight and did Kerr want a multi-fight. Oh, we're talking about the Tank and Shakur Stevenson negotiation. Guys, salute Bradley Carroll in the building. I done told you guys, man, in no way in the world, shout out to Anton Ziegler, but in no way in the world, if we're not going to acknowledge this, I don't know when we're going to acknowledge it. But the only way a fight happens with Tank Davis is if Tank Davis' team sends out an offer for the fight to happen. If you haven't seen Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson inside of the ring and you don't have any proof of an offer, a legitimate offer being sent to Shakur Stevenson, then you have to put the blame on Tank. It is what it is, man. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Ain't no way. Or you guys have to admit that Tank's not a face of boxing. It is what it is. He's either not a face of boxing and has no power, or he is a face of boxing and the fight rests on his shoulders. Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford. Terrence chased Canelo as much as he could, but he had to wait on Canelo Alvarez because Canelo Alvarez was always going to be the A side to that negotiation. Anytime you talk to Terrence Crawford about that fight, he said he's waiting on Canelo. Hey, we got to see what Canelo wants to do. Hey, man, you never know, but it all depends on Canelo. The same thing holds weight with Tank Davis. The only way a fight gets made with Tank Davis is a fight he wants to fight, period. Shakur Stevenson's been the vocal one saying he's interested in the fight, wants to fight. Next, he's communicated in every single way possible to show you his interest in the fight. The person who has not communicated that he's interested in the fight, and as a matter of fact, the only communication he's offered you is to say that he's not interested in the fight. Let's be honest, right? Let's be honest and acknowledge it for what it is. Tank is not interested in fighting Shakur Stevenson, at least now, right? It is what it is. Clay, clarify, please. What do you mean clarify, Born Rich? Bub says, what negotiations? Anton, I can go with not reaching the agreement part. Let me see here. What negotiations? They talking about Shakur fighting Abdullah Mason. Oh, we're talking about fights that are not happening. Okay. Yeah, that part. Let me continue to move on here. Let's see here. I want to go in and break down a little bit of this heavyweight card we got coming up here. We've got a card coming up next week. Big card, in my opinion. The heavyweights lead the way with Moses Atuma and Dillian White facing off. Big fight for both of these guys. Big time opportunity for Moses Atuma to finally get into that top 10 conversation, as he's right now ranked super high in that WBO rankings, right underneath Joseph Parker, who looks like he may be on his road to being elevated to a full champion. We're watching Alexander Usyk give Joseph Parker the silent treatment right now, which pushes me in the direction of him probably handling Joseph Parker the way he handled Daniel Dubois, which is, you can have the belt, I'll just fight you for the belt later and become a 3-time undisputed champion, heavyweight champion, no problem. If that happens, Joseph Parker gets elevated as Usyk enjoys his family time and probably won't hear from him until about second quarter of 2026. Joseph Parker may be in a position to defend that title. There's an argument there to be said that Moses Atuma checks the boxes on that fight being made. Other rumors circulating about Ajit Kabayel's position as well, but Moses Atuma highly ranked in that WBO ranking. This fight right here against Dillian Whyte will be Moses Atuma's most significant fight on his resume. Dillian Whyte has a history, a meaty history in the heavyweight division, especially when it comes to the UK scene, sharing the ring with the likes of Derek Chisora, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Obviously, this is a big fight for Moses Atuma to have a opponent on his resume that he can share with the likes of those guys. Shows and proves that maybe this guy who's prospect coming off of prospect of the year last year at the Ring Magazine Awards would find himself in a position finally to get a significant fight that can throw him into a potential fight with a Joseph Parker. If you don't know, I'm a huge fan of Moses Atuma. I think the young guy is the goods. The eye test says that he's really like that. But guys, in the community, we don't respect the eye test, but so much. You got to prove it in the ring. This is a big fight for Dillian Whyte, as well as Dillian Whyte is also trying to resurge coming off of performance enhancement drugs, jackets, and accusations and suspensions and things of that nature. He's had a rough go at it in his last 5+ years of boxing, trying to put together fights going away off the strength of these PED accusations and injuries and things of that nature. He's going to be the experienced guy in the ring here with Moses Atuma, right? He's going to be the guy bringing that experience and bringing that pedigree and that know-how. He's had the better fighters on his resume. He's had the better experience. But one thing about Dillian Whyte is he's never really, in my opinion, evolved into being a great fighter that I think people think he is. I think he's a real puncher. He has a decent jab at times, but he's limited to say the least. And when he gets into the ring with somebody like Moses Atuma, who's shown his athleticism, shown his power, shown his ability to be an effective boxer puncher, I think he's going to get outclassed in this one. I think on paper he's supposed to get outclassed in this one, as long as Moses Atuma keeps his head off that line, stays defensively responsible, and takes advantages of the openings that Dillian Whyte, I believe, will give him. I think you're going to see Dillian Whyte's condition be tested, as well as Moses Atuma's also showed that he has a good tank, his ability to fight. So he'll be tested by Dillian Whyte in this fight, but I expect Moses Atuma to come out on top on this one. If he does come out on top, really interested to see if he goes ahead and he activates and uses his ranking position in the WBO rankings and what big fights are going to happen for him. Because at this point, after beating a Dillian Whyte, there's no more top 15 fighters for Moses Atuma, in my opinion. I think Frank Warren is going to have to take the helm and fast forward, take him to the biggest fights possible, the biggest paydays. I think the heavyweight division benefits off of seeing that off of Moses Atuma. Nick Ball will also be defending his WBA title that he holds at 126 pounds. He'll be fighting Sam Goodman. Guys, we know 126 is bubbling, right? We know about Shushu Carrington just picking up an interim title. We know about Stephen Fulton becoming an actual full WBC champion. We know about Ray Vargas. We know about Rafael Espinosa. The division is bubbling. Nick Ball, an up-and-coming breath of fresh air in that division, an exciting fighter, come forward fire, earns his name, the Wrecking Ball, without a doubt. Super entertaining watching him fight. This fight against Sam Goodman, hopefully it'll be the last of, what people may look at as a cherry pick or a stylistically favorable fight for Nick Ball. On the back end of this victory, looking forward to see Nick Ball in the big conversations, which is Monster Inoue, which is Shushu Carrington, which is Rafael Espinosa, which is all these great fighters that at 126, even with the addition now. Wait, is Elijah Pierce at 126 or 130 now? Is he at 126 or 130? Where's Elijah Pierce at right now? Where is Elijah Pierce right now? The division bottom line is going to be very interesting. Shout out to my guy Born Rich in the building. Born Rich, what kind of money is that, Born Rich? This might be one of my first foreign exchanges, man. Is that a euro? Is that a pound? Is that a couple? Is that 5 pence? You know what I'm saying? Salute and thank you for the support to the channel, brother. I appreciate you, Born Rich. Or is that New Zealand money? Is that what that is? I appreciate you, family. Thank you, man. What do you say? I ain't see him say nothing. Shout out to Kalia World in the building. Says, hello, I'm here. Hey, Kalia. Salute, Queen. How you doing today? I got to put my voice on for the Queen. Aaliyah in the building. Ill Will says, I don't know where to stand on Shakur versus Tank, but it seems like Tank don't really care for that fight at all. I'd like to see another repeat performance prove this who he is with good hands. I like that. Ill Will. I think that's fair. I think yeah, I want to see Shakur. I'll be honest with you. I don't need to see one more. I want to see all the rest of Shakur fights be the biggest fights that he can make. And it seems like Shakur's interested in doing that as well. And why am I interested in all the fights being the biggest fights he can make? Because, guys, I'm be honest with you. I think his hands have an expiration date on them. And I think the fight should count. The payday should count. The fight should count. He shouldn't take fights that don't mean nothing because at the end of the day, every fight can be his last fight depending on how his hands weather the storm. Very brittle hands. I want to see him in the biggest fights. Right now, I would hope that Shakur Stevenson and his team, which is an interesting conversation within itself. What team is Shakur Stevenson have right now? From my understanding, his Eddie Hearn situation is expired. Is he going to renew that deal with Eddie Hearn? Is he going to move forward? I heard Bob Arum showing some interest in potentially working with Shakur Stevenson in the future, or does he just go independent? That being said, once that's figured out, interested in seeing him go ahead and put out an offer to a Lamont Roach. I think that Lamont Roach fight is a great fight for Shakur Stevenson. I think it's a fight that puts him right there, gives him a common opponent with Gervonta Tank Davis on the back end of a victory. It makes his claim to fight Gervonta Tank Davis next even more undeniable. And obviously the advantages are there for Lamont Roach as well, fighting for a title. If he were to beat Shakur Stevenson, now walking around with a WBC title makes that fight between him and Tank even bigger, as it now can be elevated to unification fights and things of that nature. So, yeah, the next fight for Shakur Stevenson, in my opinion, should be Lamont Roach. Don't know about Abdullah Mason and all that other stuff. But once again, as I stated earlier as well, we're not going to hear from Shakur Stevenson supposedly until 2026. So, I think there's a lot of other stuff we could be covering that makes more sense for Shakur Stevenson that makes more sense as far as boxing is concerned rather than Shakur Stevenson, as he's not going to be even in the conversation of negotiating a new fight until probably closer to the end of 2025, right? What's going on here in the chat? Let's see here. True, them hands could go anytime. Yeah, for sure, man. Anton says, Born Rich, if you don't see what Haney fans do on YouTube, what his dad does, then I don't know what to tell you. What's your X account? We can talk behind the screen. Okay. I don't know. I could talk about screening. I guess Mason needs to go for that vacant WBO strap at 135, which is what he's doing. Get that belt, then it will be worth it for Shakur to fight him. Abdullah's number one in the WBO. Well, Dragonfly, you do know that he is scheduled to fight against Sam Noakes, right? On November 22nd for that WBO title. So, yeah, man. That's what he's going to do, right? And once he's done getting that title, I don't see him going right into unification with a Shakur Stevenson. I'll be honest with you. He has great handlers in Top Rank, and Top Rank is going to grow him. They're not just going to throw him to the wind. I would expect that his next fight after that would be something that he can put together in his home city in Ohio. They're probably going to put the same campaign behind Abdullah Mason that they tried to do behind Keyshawn Davis. Who would he fight in Ohio? It wouldn't be a pay-per-view card. It'd be somebody, probably like a Joe Cordina or something. I'll be honest with you. But, first things first, Sam Noakes, right? First things first. Let's see here. Okay, after Haney fights Norman, who will he fight? Are you asking me that, Cardenas? I don't know. Is that what you're asking me? Who would he fight? I don't know. It depends. Is he going to be champion or not? I don't know. It's kind of hard. Who would he fight next? I don't know. Anton says, I want to tell you something about something that's right in front of your face. Okay. He's talking. My bad. Let's see here. Shakur needs to rematch Santos. Nah, I disagree. Nah, he doesn't need to prove it. I think everybody knows what Shakur Stevenson did to Edwin De Los Santos, he did with a broken hand. We're not going to act like he lost that fight. he was able to handle that guy with one hand. You can only imagine that he would handle him even more with two hands. I don't think he needs to fight Edwin Dos Santos at all. I don't think there's no payday in there. There's no legacy in there. I don't see why he would fight him. And I'm going to give Edwin Dos Santos his respect to say that's a dangerous fighter. So why get in the ring with a dangerous fighter for no reason? What on the back end of that? What do I get? Now, if you want to offer me some crazy payday to fight him, then we can make it happen. But can Turkey really wrap his mind around being interested in an Edwin Dos Santos fight? The guy hasn't been active. The last fight he fought was against Shakur Stevenson however many years ago. No activity. Nah, Edwin Dos Santos needs to look at a more realistic fight. And I'll be honest with you guys, Edwin probably should be entertaining going to 140 as well, not even fighting at 135 again. You know, I think a Frank Martin fight is way more realistic for Edwin Dos Santos than fighting Shakur, for sure. Let's see here. Born Rich is talking to Anton. Okay. Let's see here. Ill Will 85 says Moritala needs to fight Andy Cruz so we can get a winner versus Shakur. Yeah, I like that. I think Raymond Moritala does need to fight Andy Cruz, but it seems like he wants that tune-up fight. Who will it be? I don't know yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it's going to be, I don't want to say a cherry pick, but a very winnable fight, to say the least, for Raymond Moritala. Questions on both those guys. Who either one of those guys are going to fight? Who are they going to put Andy Cruz in the ring with? And who they're going to put Raymond Moritala in the ring with? I think there's an argument to say that we can be sure that they're not fighting each other next, as news has circulated about Raymond Moritala's intention to fight a tune-up fight, right? So we got to see what Andy Cruz is going to do. Andy Cruz, 5-6 fights into his professional career. That experience on the professional stage is really just not there. The eye test tells us that he's a very talented fighter, but the experience in his resume doesn't necessarily speak to that. I think we're expecting a lot of Andy Cruz, and I wonder on a day-to-day basis how much of what we see in Andy Cruz is the truth. Can we really ascertain who Andy Cruz is inside of 5 to 6 fights? Time will tell that story. Style and matchmaking will let us know how his handlers think about his career and how it's been going. Let me see here. Dragon says, I agree, Clay. That sounds about right. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I think so when it comes to that Edwin Dos Santos conversation. Let me see here. The hand is overblown. Floyd had a long career with brittle hands. I don't know. You know, what happens in the ring will speak to that, right, yours? That's the reality. What happens in the ring will speak to that. Yes, Floyd had brittle hands, and he was able to deal with it and figure it out. We don't know if Shakur's hands are worse off than Floyd's are, but I can tell you this. I don't remember the last time he was in a fight and his hands didn't get injured. In this fight right now that he just had with William Zepeda, they said he injured his hand, right? So this is an uphill battle for Shakur Stevenson. Every good thing has an expiration date. You know, everything has an expiration date, except honey, maybe, right? But most things have an expiration date to it. So, you know, I don't think his hands are getting better. Are they just staying still? Maybe they are. I don't know. I think that the hand situation is legitimate, man. And I think every single fight that we see Shakur Stevenson in, we're going to look at those hands and wonder if those hands are going to be able to weather, especially against punchers, especially against dangerous fighters, right? Salute to everybody in the building. We got about 60 people in the building. Please remember to go ahead and hit that like button, man. Show some support to the channel, man. Appreciate everybody in the super chat in here. Born Rich, Adel Choice, Rashad Wilson, Anton Zegler, Dez here for boxing, man. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for the support on the channel, man. Let's see here. What are we looking at here? I'm just going through the chat here, interacting. I'll be opening the panel up in a few as well to have some real good boxing talk. I appreciate. Flyer said, Clay, do you think Shakur should move to 140? Not at all. I don't think he should move to 140 unless he wants to, but I think, and that's why I speak on the Gervonta Tank Davis situation as far as him being a champion in the division, right? I think the division is ready to resurge, but I do think that WBA title needs to kind of be addressed, and Tank's intentions need to be addressed. Tank, in my opinion, should be given the space and time to make a decision on how he wants to approach boxing. But meanwhile, while that's happening, there should be an opportunity for the division to move forward. I think Shakur Stevenson is in a division right now that has a lot of opportunities for him specifically. Floyd Schofield Jr. is an opportunity at some point. Raymond Mortala's an opportunity. Andy Cruz there now. You know what I mean? Abdullah Mason now getting into the conversation. There's a lot of 135-pound things going on right now. So I don't see Shakur needing to move up to 140. Will he go up to 140 from time to time to entertain the right opportunity, like maybe a Teofimo fight and things of that nature? I could see that happening, but I definitely see him coming back to 135. I think he's comfortable there, and I think he should be where he's comfortable at, especially with those hands. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Let's see here. 2 fights a year to preserve his hands. Maybe, yeah, man. Desi Chan says Pitbull Cruz is a WBC interim champion. He will be Matias's mandatory very soon. Are we talking about at 140? Yeah, I heard that, Desi. As far as Isaac Cruz and Sabril Matias is concerned, that could be something that happens, but it does seem like Turkey might have plans for Matias. It looks like that next fight that he's going to be fighting is going to be the Dalton Smith fight. So depending on the results of that fight, after that, from my understanding, is there's a rematch clause that was there with the Alberto Puello fight. So he'll probably have to go ahead and defend that rematch clause if he wins that fight against Dalton Smith. And then after that, we'll see what he does with Isaac Cruz. Isaac seems to be some more of a roamer, Rolling Stone in the game. He could be anywhere. So I don't know how much that interim championship, unless the WBC were to activate some sort of a mandatory or something of that nature. I don't know, Desi, man. I just think, Isaac's probably not going to fight Sabril no time soon. But maybe, who knows? Maybe, right? Let's see here. Bear with me here. Mansa Musa in the building. Salute. Mansa Musa says Shakur versus Ben would be a good money fight, especially if you fight in the UK. Well, actually, I'm glad you put that up because we can segue into the idea that Conor Benn and Chris Eubank seem to be have penned out an agreement, and it seems like they're going to be fighting. In November, right? Sometime in November that fight's supposed to happen between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. So that being said, Conor Benn's not in the conversation for a Shakur fight right now. And Shakur, once again, not available until first quarter of 2026. So maybe that fight can happen, but not next for Conor Benn, right? So we got to see how that ends up popping off. Let's see. Tank was entertaining fight with Conor Benn, who is also just like Shakur, can't use Shakur's size after that. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see here. Ooh, Bradley says Tank and Shakur beats Tank Bud boxing because Tank is a very slow starter. I don't kind of get what you're saying the other way. Well, let me see here. I think you should take boom, Pitbull, boom, Shakur Ben, boom. Yeah, we seem to be going through it. Shout out to Ill Will in the building, showing me some love in the super chat with the $5 holla in the building. Says, I'm out. Appreciate the boxing talk, Clay. Have a good day, everyone. Oh, no doubt, Ill Will, man. Appreciate you coming by, man. Please follow up and check up on us. You'll be seeing a lot more content coming from me. These lives aren't going to be as frequent as they used to be. Unless I got something to say. I'm not just doing lives just to be doing lives anymore. Even though today's live was a great live, a lot of support. I don't know. I'm probably going to be doing a live tomorrow just based on the support we got today with all the color in the chat. I appreciate everybody who showed some support in the channel today. But yeah, man, definitely look out for the content. We'll be beefing up the content, going in on the content, sharing a lot more perspective on what's going on in boxing, not just in the ring, but outside the ring politics. I am going to be, as my brother, my brother Bradley said, letting my hair down a lot more in the space. So be prepared to hear a lot more some takes that not everybody's gonna like always, but I'm sure some people will, right? But I don't know if I'm as concerned about it. Salute to Ill Will, man, for the support, man. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Let's continue to go down here. All right, I'm gonna actually put the link out as well. I'm gonna put you guys on a I gotta go to the bathroom. I don't know if that was TMI. But there's the link. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put you guys on a quick little intermission. Bear with me, man. I'll be right back. I'll give y'all a little music here. You know what I mean? Be right back.
Stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. Yeah, they hate when you elevate, elevate, elevate. They hate when you elevate, yeah. I had to elevate. I'm way too fly. Yeah, I'm feeling myself. Ain't no chance I'm coming down, no. Got a soul view to myself, yeah. Why would I give it up? Why do they wanna come take my place? I work too hard for it, don't need a replacement. This my vocation. Now I got rollies all in rotation. Hop on a jet just to take a vacation. Remember the moments was trapped in the basement. Now the hard work is all taking me places. Starting all black like we trapped in the matrix. Bet on myself and go ball out in Vegas. Living a life like I'm rich and I'm famous. Don't see the grind that I know that it came with.
All right, we back at it. Appreciate your patience rocking with me there. Yeah, I'll put the link out there if anybody want to hit the link and come and build. I'm down. That's what's up. I want to continue to move forward and talking about this card as well. As far as Nick Ball and Sam Goodman, like I said, hopefully on the back end of that fight, we can talk about some unifications. I'm ready to see some big unifications happening at the 126-pound division. We see Shushu and his motivation to make big fights happen. 126 is a division I think that's waiting to explode. Even with the rumors of Monster Inoue potentially making and showcasing himself at 126 sometime in 2026, or maybe towards the last quarter of 2026, or maybe first quarter of 2027, the division is bubbling right now, and I want to see these champions begin to consider unifications and getting into the biggest fights possible, right? So we'll see what ends up happening. Shout out to my brother here for boxing in the building. What's good?
Yo, what up, bro? Chilling, man. How you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Appreciate the support today, man. Thank you, man. I see. Oh, you put another super chat in there? Yeah, you did.
Come on, man. Listen, I'm trying to motivate the troops, man. Y'all can't ask for good content and not support it when it come around.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it, man.
That's
I appreciate
how you keep it going.
Show some love, man. You know what I mean?
I seen y'all give more to less. Take care of your boy.
Yeah, man. For sure, man. Show some love, man.
So
and also,
I put my money where my mouth is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm trying to put out that I'm trying to put out something. I'm trying to get my Twitter more active as well, and also even on his YouTube as far as picking topics that we're talking about. I'd love to know what you guys want to talk about so we can have conversations, according to what you guys want to talk about.
I mean, you offer versatility, so you give a little bit to everybody: the UK fan, the American fan, the black fan, the white fan. There's something here for everybody.
I'd like to think that, man, for real.
You just gotta wait for it. It's coming, but it comes in segments, but it's gonna be here.
No doubt, man.
So, I wanted to go back. I'm good, man. I'm about to run to the Phillies again. That joint started at 12:30, but I told my daughter's camp staff that I would barbecue for them today, so I've been on the grill since 9 o'clock.
Damn, what time is it right now? It's almost 12, right?
11:49. I've been grilling for 2.5 hours.
My watch is wrong. Yeah, I got one of those mechanical movement watches. If you sit it down for 4 days, it start working.
Yeah. So, I wanted to get to the top of the conversation, the top of the, the Spence, well, not the Spence, I'm sorry, Terrence Crawford and Canelo thing, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say names. I'm gonna keep it clean, no messiness.
Yeah, I don't give a damn. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna keep it clean because I don't want to ruffle no feathers and have nobody crying in the chat and all that. So, but we can read between the lines. We all been here long enough to know what's going on.
100%, man.
What we see is there's a certain group of content creators who picked Errol Spence to win the fight against Bud. And he lost. Okay, it happens. Whatever. But they're still 2 years later, still kind of grieving about it. And the same people who said we didn't ask for this fight. Well, you asked for Canelo and Spence. So what's the difference between this one and that one? I mean, Canelo, they both would have been a common opponent, had one or the other win. You know what I'm saying? One of them would have gotten the fight at some point.
Right.
And I think that's what they fought for. They fought for the rights to Canelo. They fought to clear that path, and Bud won it.
Right.
You don't have to like Bud, you don't have to love Bud, but if you're not gonna support him, leave him alone. Because he don't bother nobody, he's unproblematic. He's a shining example to his community of what a fighter should be, inside the ring, outside the ring. Right. And I'm not his lawyer, you know what I mean? But I do get tired of hearing the narratives. But we defend fighters who do the exact opposite of those things. And I won't say any names because I don't want to ruffle the lawyer's feathers.
Right.
But it's a thing where, Bud won, he did his thing, and this community can't get over it. And if you notice, everybody pushing the rhetoric about Bud being on steroids, we didn't ask for this fight, are all the ones who picked Errol Spence to win.
Right.
And it just has to stop. It's tiresome. It's sickening. It's just every single day. I mean, every day it's the same thing. I'm just like, yo, leave this brother alone. And if you don't fuck with him, don't fuck with him. But leave him alone. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, it does seem like that, and I agree with you. You know what I mean? And I remember that clear as day. Is everybody talking about that Canelo Alvarez fight? I mean, I even heard that there was a potential agreement with the PBC with Canelo with the contract of Canelo that Spence might have even been in the agreement. You know what I'm saying? As one of the fights that he could fight. So there was people were looking for Errol Spence to make that fight with Canelo on the back end of a victory with Terrence Crawford. But yeah, look, no matter how people want to look at it, everything is done with timing. Timing makes the biggest difference in everything we do in life, right? You want to do things in the right timing. I just find it interesting that right now, all of a sudden, this jacket is getting put on him. I just don't get it. I don't get why now. Like, it could be done at any time.
Distraction tactic. They want to throw him off his square. I know content creators that said, I want to see him get knocked out. Black men.
Right.
I haven't found a Mexican platform yet that wants Canelo to get knocked out. I haven't found a Mexican platform yet that highlights his repeated PED pops. No Mexican. I've dared anybody in this space. Fine, when I give you $20, I'll cash up you $20 if you find me a Mexican talking about Canelo the way we talk about Bud.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. Salute
Well,
to the.
What's up, Clay?
What's up, Shelton? What's up, Coach Eddie?
That's just, what my man is saying is true. It's just a certain, if you notice, if you look, if you're paying attention, it's just a certain group of content creators from a certain area of the country.
No, they all over.
They're the ones that pushing all this stuff. They pushing all this, that. All of a sudden now they're so concerned about PEDs and boxing and Victor Conti and all this garbage that has nothing to do with the fight.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, do you guys find it, like I said earlier, I don't know if you guys tapped in earlier, but I said that I was looking across the whole space. I'm not a big platform to platform guy. Shout out to my guy.
You doing your own thing. I got you.
Right. You know what I mean? Shout out to Just Do. I'm on his platform at times listening and what's going over there. Obviously, my brother Blue, you know what I'm saying?
My fault for the noise, my bad.
It's all good. With Blue is deeper than rap. That's like my dog outside of, you know what I'm saying, in space. So I'm always gonna show him love there, obviously. And but I did spend some time in the past couple of days because I was interested. I'm like, damn, bro, like, why is everybody covering this Victor Conti, Terrence Crawford situation in the capacity that they're doing it? It was just like, what's going on? And I realized that the only people who are really interested in this conversation like that is this community. Like, the rest of the world is talking about how great this fight is. You know what I mean? They're trying to figure out what Terrence. I don't hear nobody around the world questioning Terrence Crawford's integrity.
One of the crazier things I hear is how much money it's going to lose. Who cares? Just enjoy the fucking show.
How much money? Who's going to lose?
Turkey's losing this much money, and he's not going to. Who cares?
That's coming from this community once again. When you look at, for example, like I'll give an example of like a Chris Algieri and a you know what I mean, and or a Pro Box, or the people who are the more commercial space of covering boxing. You don't hear this coming up. I mean, people have communicated how Victor Conti, they don't like him in the sport, and they question that, but I think people have accepted the fact that as long as this man is checking the boxes as far as compliance is concerned, as long as he's not being proven to do anything illegal, that they have to give him the benefit of the doubt to allow him to operate in the capacity he's operating. He's not breaking any rules. And also, Terrence Crawford is not breaking any rules by working with Victor Conti. The only way you can judge these guys should be paperwork, should be test results, things of that nature. Anything else is just like is a reach. And my question is, why reach now? Can nobody get on this?
Here's the deal, Clay. Mm-hmm. The powers that be in boxing want him in. If they didn't want him in, he wouldn't be in. Mm-hmm. Correct. Yep. So Bud is not blue attention. He hasn't pissed hot yet. So what is the issue? Why do we constantly talk about something that really has nothing to do with boxing? It's just all personal opinion. Now, I get it. These shows are opinion based, and you cannot tell a person what to talk about on their platform or how to think. I get that, but don't pass it off like, oh, I'm just concerned about the sport. No, you're not, because you only started this, recently. You only started this all of a sudden after Spence gets mollywopped. The way he got mollywopped, and I'll admit, I knew he was going to lose. HLD can tell you that. I've been on HLD for like 4 or 5 years. I knew he was going to lose, but I didn't think he was going to lose like that. I swear to God, I did not think he was going to lose like that. But after that, that's when all this stuff started popping up. And it's disingenuous. That's all I'm saying. It's disingenuous.
Well, what's happening? They're setting the table. The table's being set for the next round of excuses. So nothing Terrence Crawford does will ever be good enough. So now they're setting the stage to say that, oh, he was juicing when he beat Canelo, so it doesn't count if he beats Canelo. You know what I mean? So no matter what he does, no matter how he moves, they are always going to poke a hole in something that he does. It doesn't matter what he does. The goalpost will always be moved. It'll never be good enough.
Let me answer this question real quick. For Born Red says, Claymore, are supplements banned too, like creatine, D3, zinc, etc., or just anabolics? There's a list. That's what I can tell you. There's a list of can and cannots. You know what I'm saying? The cannot's really on the list. So if it's on that list, you can't use it. I don't know everything on that list, but I know there's multiple things on that list, not just anabolics. There's a lot of other things that they have on the list that you're not allowed to use. My understanding is, rule of thumb is, these sanctioning bodies and the athletic commission, they don't support supplement use at all in real time because they don't want to hear no excuses, because if your supplement is tainted, you're going to be held accountable accordingly. So the biggest advice is, the rule of thumb is, don't use nothing. But there is a list of specific things that you're not allowed to have and are not allowed to pop up in your system. Hope that answered the question to a certain degree.
What's going on, Claymore?
I
could definitely answer the three products you just named down there. No, those supplements are more than legal, or they're not on no ban list. But yo, man, you guys want to talk? No, let's not act blind while we're talking about it. It's because fucking Victor Conte is up in the fucking space of this shit. That's why it's being spoken about. Who the fuck is he to be out here representing VADA, putting out the test, clearing clerical errors and shit? Isn't that Margaret Goodman's fucking job? Isn't that VADA's job? See, Victor Conte is all up in it, like we always know, because he's the one who created and funded and established VADA. That's the problem. We got the fox in the fucking henhouse. That's the problem. We don't want this motherfucker. I mean, I'm going to speak for, I don't want this motherfucker in the game. I don't want him in the game. He should not be involved. He doesn't have to be a say. He don't have nothing to be talking about. Just say, I'm selling snack. Great for you. I have no problem. But all this involvement with VADA, being the first one to know who fails, being the one who puts out who and what and how much, all that shit, who the hell is he? That's why we have a problem with it. That's why there's a major problem, because this guy, I don't give a fuck who anybody thinks. He's not a born-again Christian. He's not, oh my God, oh yeah, I settle my debt to society and all this shit. No, man. Ain't nobody want this fool in there. It's been out of his mouth many a times. He knows what he's got to do to pass the test. He just came out saying what he does behind the scenes. For clarity, what I've been saying, they take blood tests, blood panels. They know he knows what he's got to do for his athletes to and not to pass the test. So let's not play that game. That's why this guy needs to be out of boxing. Period.
Yeah. Salute to Coach Eddie and Bruce Gas in the building. Let me let Bruce Gas build, man. I don't get a chance to get you know what I mean, somebody like that up on the board. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta let Bruce Gas build a little bit, man. Bruce, how you feeling, man? Are you chilling?
Yeah, Clay, I'm chilling nicely here, but see, I have a lot of experience in performance enhancing drugs and nutritional supplements. I've been involved with nutritional supplements since 1995. I owned a business. I distributed, all the creatine, the amino acids, the glutamine, all that shit right from day one. And the thing about nutritional supplements, especially sports enhancing nutritional supplements, they were put out to mimic the effects of anabolic steroids, without crossing that line. And they're not nearly as effective as anabolic steroids. They're vitamins, amino acids, different compounds putting together to try to increase your muscle mass, try to increase your endurance. But as far as cheating, if they're not banned and they're not pharmaceutically classified narcotics, so to speak, then you can use them if you want to. They're not going to make all that much difference. But if you are using them, I would go with a company like Snack, because Snack is probably one of the most scrutinized supplement companies out there. They're not going to contaminate their supplements. Victor Conte has become a millionaire through Snack supplements. That's how he makes his money. As far as cheating on the PED'S, cheating on the test, he did all that shit, and he paid his dues for it. But accusing Bud of being on roids now. See, Bud right now, he's doing what they call a bulking phase. And everybody who's into bodybuilding nutrition, they know you put on weight any means possible, and then you diet it off. And he's got plenty of space in there. he only has to diet down to 168. So Bud can bulk up. He can keep natural muscle, and I don't see anything wrong with what he's doing. I see a lot of people that are pretty ignorant to the whole PED industry and shit that's going on, and they like to point fingers. If they see somebody that's too big, too ripped, too good in the ring, they like to say, he's doing steroids, because that's a cop out, because you can't do it. You like to put that excuse on somebody else. They're doing something that's not attainable naturally. But I think a lot of this shit. First of all, I think they should get a drug czar in boxing, because there's a lot more ways to test a fighter than simply have him pee in a cup and take his blood. I mean, a simple lie detector test. It's not admissible in court, but it would open throw some red flags out there. The hair test, the hair and follicles. I mean, there's just so many ways, and it's being run half-assed. But it is kind of entertaining to see all this shit going back and forth. And I just wanted to come in and throw my 2 cents in. And even at my age, I'm still I do testosterone replacement therapy. So I stick a needle in my thigh every 20 days, and I'm doing the same exact shit that you would buy in the black market as an anabolic steroid, but it has its therapeutic usages. And some of these athletes, because they mess with their testosterone levels, they have to do hormonal replacement therapy just so they can function normally. Their cholesterol levels, their blood pressure. It's not all about performance. But the thing is, like you said, you got to stay healthy. You got to achieve this by eating the proper foods, doing your exercises, staying away from hard drugs and alcohol. I mean, it's a whole process. You're not going to become a Superman by sticking a needle in your ass. And a lot of people think that's possible, and that's not even remotely possible.
I agree, man. I appreciate the perspective on it, Bruce, especially on the idea of what the supplements are about, to mimic the effects of what steroids do, right? So to enhance. It's all performance enhancement drugs. There's a legal way to do things and an illegal way to do things, clearly. And I also appreciated the perspective on Victor Conte's company Snack being maybe one of the best companies to go to, off the strength of that they understand that they're under the magnifying glass. They're being checked. They're being looked at. The chances of their supplements being clean are probably a higher chance, because they understand they can't afford to make one mistake based off the idea that this man has the checkered past that he has. So I think people try to put a lot of weight on the idea that no snack fighters are popping on performance enhancement drug tests, and instead of looking at it as, well, that speaks to the quality of the supplement, what they're trying to say is that his connection with this connection with VADA is that VADA is purposely not popping these guys or not putting them in that position. It's just some real interesting perspective. Shout out to Rick Timms in the building. Rick, how you doing today, brother? Oh, Rick's not there right now. I see Rick up in there. Nick, he must be on his cycle right now. You in the middle of taking a cycle?
That man is definitely not on those steroids, man.
That man Rick Timms over there, what he doing, bro? He wasn't on the camera. I don't know what he doing on the camera. I'm just saying.
Showing off with the ladies out here, bro.
The whole space is suspicious right now. So when we don't see you on the camera, we see you working out. I don't know what Rick doing over there, bro.
He's showing off with the ladies on camera. That's how
I don't want you to catch a Jackie on deserve, Rick. I don't want you to catch a Jackie on deserve, brother. You know what I mean? Let's be forthcoming.
Yeah, look at Rick.
I'm on it, man. I'm in here getting paid. That's all.
No doubt. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, what's up? Clay, everybody on the panel, everybody in the chat. Man, look, dog, I just want to jump up in.
There it is, coach.
Yeah. So look, dog, I said this on 2 Cent show last night. I typed it in your chat earlier. Check it out, man. Guilty by association does have merit. Sometimes, probably even most of the time, but not all the time. See, where I'm from, Southeast Houston, Sunnyside, Texas, is ultra urban, high crime rate. It's still a lot of love. But I'm mentioning that is because the type of people I hang around, okay? I be around a bunch of hardened criminals. I mean, I just went to my partner last week. He dope dealers, you know, aggravated kidnappers. I mean, some really, really heavy charges. Yet when I go to the hood and kick it with my people, I don't partake in any of that criminal activity. You know, I'm not out here murdering people. I'm not no heavy drug dealer. I'm not scamming and scheming. My point is, guilty by association is not always the case. And this whole snack, bud, drama, if it has any merit, it will be exposed. I rock heavy with Bud. I rock heavy with Tank, but I'm not afraid to criticize either one of them. So if Bud is found out to be dirty, I'm going to blast the hell out of Bud. And if not, I'm going to keep supporting Bud. Tank, he moved funny, you know, knockout dude, but I still have some question marks about Tank. I'm not afraid to say this on any channel. Pro Dev, pro Bud, pro Errol, Canelo, I'm me everywhere I go. I'm not out here looking for trouble. Everybody else. It's just that this YouTube boxing world is so juvenile minded. You got grown men and women who, if you don't agree with their opinion, if you don't like who they like, if you don't say what they say, you ain't worth nothing. You emotionally charged. And hey, man, every elite fighter has some emotional, irrational fans. Oh, Bud got him, no, got him, Tank got him, Dev got him, Shakir got him. Everybody got out here that support like assholes. Can't broad brush and paint everybody with the same goddamn stick. We all got our own mind. Everybody had their own opinion. Cool. I can live with that. What I cannot live with is the petty back and forth girly ass arguments that I witness every single day in these chats. Boxing, YouTube boxing is a huge soap opera, y'all. I mean, are we grown men or are we teenagers? Is this junior high school or is this grown-up society we in the midst of? Because, dog, every single day I sit back and I just watch insults, sneak dicks, and just fix. I mean, all over boxing and people have different. Man, we can we support who we support, and we can agree to disagree. That's how I rock. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not with this petty-ass shit just because you don't like who I like. Fine, man, it's cool. But other than that, y'all, guilty by association is not always the case. And that's all I got today, y'all.
No doubt. Appreciate it, man. That was some great perspective, man. And I agree with you, man. I always looked at this boxing space as fellowship. That's what I think me personally, that's what I was seeking, right? Like-minded people as far as a fan of the sport first. That's what brings us together. And of course, not expecting everybody to like the same fighters I like or like the same, things I like, but a fellowship, an opportunity for us to build on something that we supposedly all love. But yeah, man, the spot has become very toxic, man. And the lack of respect, people are coming up with ideas on how to judge people on a personal level based off of a relationship on the internet. Like, how can you get that personal to where you can even come to a conclusion and say you don't like me, or I'm a bitch, or I got no character, or I'm a hoe, or what? In what world do we end up in a conversation like that based off of my opinion on the fight game? I think it's diabolical. Salute to my guy Anton in the building, Coach Eddie and Ross Scott in the building. Salute, Coach. How you doing?
Man, I'm good, brother. Hey, man, this is a good topic, man. And like I said, it's got to the point where y'all really don't even care, man. I don't really. I hope that Bud knocked Canelo out, because I just want to see the aftermath, just for my pettiness. I want to see all the I Hate Bud channels come out and just say, Bud cheated. That's gonna be a great day if Bud knock out Canelo. But first of all, I don't like Canelo. Anyway, I always root for him to lose. No matter who he fight, I always want him to lose. And I really, really want him to lose this time, just cause all this extra drama. But it's the fake outrage for me. Everybody talking about they want to clean up the sport. Okay, if you want to clean up the sport, stop letting tomato cans fight then. Don't nobody care about it. Don't nobody care about the tomato cans. Tomato cans go in, he fight killer after killer after killer after killer. And ain't nobody screaming for him. Ain't nobody saying, hey, this ain't safe. You know what I'm saying? Tomato cans, they got the best resume. They don't fought everybody. But where's the outrage for them? Why ain't anybody trying to keep them safe? Some of them can't even fight. Some of them don't even belong in the boxing ring. It's dangerous when you get a guy who's unskilled, who can't protect himself, and you put him in with a killer. He's going to get knocked out. And these guys repeatedly get knocked out all the time. But nobody cares. It's like this fake crusade that they're going on talking about, oh, we want to clean up the sport. It's so many different ways to cheat in boxing. Besides the PEDs.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I want to bring that up on the panel as well, as far as Victor Conte being the end all be all, because I don't understand in what world we not see that there's so many Victor Contes in sports in general. Victor Conte's just the tip of the iceberg. He might not even be the nicest at it, to be honest with you. He's just the guy who got caught up. And we talk about him like Canelo ain't got people working over there. Like David Benavidez don't have people working over there. Like David Morrell don't got people. Like anybody don't have somebody. You know what I'm saying? So the focus on eliminating this one guy, what change does it do? Does it do for the sport in real time when we know that the whole sport is 9 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 people competing in the sport are looking for an edge and finding it in one way or another and not necessarily the most legal way. I want to go down the list of Victor Conte's of snack fighters, right? And I want to say that if Victor Conte is a big issue and it's not about Terence Crawford, then why hasn't anybody made arguments for Mikey Garcia? Why haven't people made arguments for Clarissa Shields? Why haven't people made arguments for Caleb Plant or for Demetrius Andrade or Danny Jacobs or Sean Porter or Andre Berto or Josito Lopez or Willie Monroe Jr. or Julian Williams and all these other fighters that are on the list of snack fighters? Why aren't they protesting when these guys compete or when these guys are getting in fights? Why isn't every single Victor Conte fighter underneath the same scrutiny that Terence Crawford is right now, heading into his biggest fight possible against a Canelo Alvarez? I think it's disingenuous for people to try to play like this is just about Victor Conte or just about his influence on the game, because he influences multiple fighters in the game, not just Terence Crawford. Go ahead, Rick James.
Hey, man, none of them fighters you name thrashed Earl. None of them fighters you name has in a scheduled bout with Canelo. And let me keep it a buck. Bud is not fully likable all the time. I mean, it's a lot of shit Bud say and do that I totally disagree with, you know? So Bud has to take some of the credit for some of the disdain that he's generated. However, most of it is not warranted. And let me address Victor Conte and Bud's current physical stature. Look, man, when you're a lifetime athlete, some of us can relate to that. When you didn't put in the work 20 years, when you have a certain fitness about yourself, your physique is going to stay intact. You can gain weight, you can gain muscle a lot differently than the couch potatoes. And when you're a multi-millionaire athlete that has access to shit us little simple, average, everyday people don't have access to, you're going to be able to put on weight. And again, dog.
Yeah, Rick, your connection
is going to come out. You can't prosper doing wrong forever, dog. It's right. The way karma is, the way the universe is, you cannot continuously have success illegitimately. So time surely gonna tell y'all, for sure.
No doubt. Thanks. Salute to Anton in the building. Anton, give me a second. Let me let Ross Scott build for a second. I know he's been here for a minute. Ross, what's good with you, family?
I'm good, man. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, real quick. I agree with everything everybody said on here. I'm talking about Bruce and Rick Timms. I agree 100%. Second of all, I find it strange that all this attention is going on Terrence Crawford, who was never tested positive for any banned substance, yet Canelo is with a known cheating camp. A known cheating camp. We talking about Luis Nery, Oscar Valdez, not to mention the guy that Crawford is about to face, Canelo Alvarez. What was the other dude name? I think his name was Julio Martinez was another one. All coming from Eddie Reynoso's camp. Yet no one is complaining. No one is so upset that Crawford is fighting a cheater. Instead, they flipping the script and trying to say that because he's with Snack, that he's supposed to be cheating. It's like I said before on one of my videos. If you trying to find a hacker to break into the computer system, you find someone who could cheat and work and hack into that computer, and then he gets caught. When you work for the FBI, who they gonna hire? Somebody in the library or somebody that's in jail that he might be pretty good at breaking into computers. Let's get that guy rearrested who knows more about this stuff. That's how I look at it with Victor Conte. That's why a lot of people don't like Vada. A lot of these boxers don't like Vada. You know why? Because Vada is busting dudes. That's the reason why boxers don't like Victor Conte. Because Vada is busting dudes. And if you go to Google right now, because a lot of you boxing fans out there aren't that smart to freaking go to Google. If you go to Google, it'll tell you that Victor Conte, his lawyer, he has no say-so with Vada. He just works. His agency Snack uses Vada testing, but he doesn't have any say-so. All that rumors about, he knows when to test. He's telling Crawford when the needles are coming to test. That's all rumors. That's all lies. People are still upset that Spence lost, so now they're rooting for Canelo. All of the other racist fans is rooting for Canelo because he's a non because he's not a black fighter. The whole boxing space is just all mixed up. You got one group who only going for Canelo because the other guy is a black fighter, and then you got another group who mad because he beat Spence, and they're mostly black fans. So it's all mixed up. It makes no sense. At the end of the day, this man has never tested positive for any banned substance, and that's what matters. However, Ryan Garcia has tested positive for banned substance. Guess what? People came to his defense. Feel me? People came to his defense. They didn't give the same energy like they're doing right now for someone who's never tested. And I find it sickening. And anybody who feel like, it's guilty by association, cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out.
Stop that.
Cut it out. You sound retarded.
It's nonsense.
It's nonsense.
It's clownish. It's clownish.
If you're a Canelo fan, you're racist. You retarded fuck, bro. You dumb.
No, I don't know about all that, but I'm gonna say this, right? I'm gonna say that.
Okay, you know I'm talking about you, huh, dummy?
Listen,
you just sound retarded.
All right, listen, right? No, listen, real quick, before I send it over to Anton. I want to say this, right? I heard somebody say, and guys can feel free to comment on it once it comes around your way. But I heard somebody say that the reason why Canelo Alvarez's team, Eddie Reynoso's team, isn't catching the scrutiny is because everybody got caught. So I guess there's evidence that the system works when they got caught. So they're not getting the scrutiny because they got caught. Terrence Crawford's getting the scrutiny. Legitimately, I heard somebody say this because he hasn't been caught. That's why he's getting the scrutiny. I thought that was just crazy from the outside, just listening in, just using your ears and not having any preconceived thoughts. The idea of the guilty not being scrutinized because they've been found guilty, but the innocent being scrutinized because they haven't been found guilty. I thought that was very interesting within itself. And also, can that be used as a barometer to measure the effectiveness of a system, knowing that more than likely these guys who got caught cheating probably have been cheating for a long time, that most of the time they're not getting caught. When they're finally getting caught, it's usually because they drop the ball. It's usually because they get messy, because they're getting away with it so much that they drop the ball and end up getting caught just off of not being responsible drug cheats. I'm going to send it over to Anton, though. You guys let that sizzle in your spirit. Anton, how you feeling today, man?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Good, brother.
I kind of look at things. It's like a double-edged sword, man. I feel as though like you got the fans that's of course butthurt that Bud beat Errol Spence, and then you got channels and fans as well that weren't even Terrence Crawford fans before he beat Spence. Then
Wait,
they
hold
kind
on.
of like,
Bear me one moment, not to cut you off, but Bradley, nah, just to make it clear for you, because I see you threw 2 cents in it. I actually heard Showbiz say that, so I didn't hear 2 cents say that. But I mean, go ahead, Ian. So just let Bradley know. I might as well just give it out before the rumor starts going around that we talking about 2 cents or something. Literally, Showbiz said that yesterday on his show. That's where I heard it from, not from no damn 2 cents. Go ahead, Anton.
but yeah, it was the fans that's upset in channels that's mad that Bud beat Spence, and then it was guys that got caught up in that whole debacle of being Errol Spence fans, and then once Bud beat Spence, they switched. So it's like a double-edged sword. So now it's like those are the people that's going at it on YouTube. My thing is, like I said last week, Bud, Haney, Shakur, Clarissa, whoever is on Snack, I don't care. They never pop dirty. I don't care. I don't even know what the conversation is about. I just really feel like the content creators that's on YouTube are doing a disservice to the fans. I really feel like that because y'all starting narratives and leading on certain conversations just to get clicks on your page. That's all that's all it's about. It's about getting clicks and views because controversy sells. So you're gonna come up with some narratives and spread stuff when you don't even have no information to go with the stories that you claiming. Like I don't my thing is, and going through the chat earlier and stuff like that, and I say it all the time, like, let's focus on this is not about the steroids. I'm just talking about the boxing. A lot of stuff with Tank and just a lot of other shit. Let's focus on the fights that's actually made. Let's focus on the fights that's coming up. If Tank is not active, he's not active. Why are we talking about him? Let's focus on these dudes that who are active, who are fighting, who have fights coming up. Let's focus on that stuff. I hate whereas though that we kind of break boxing down in the sense like it's just 3 fighters. Tank, Devin, Shakur. No, it's thousands of fighters. It's thousands of fighters. Yes, they might be some of the popular fighters in boxing, but there's other great fighters, and there are other fighters that's coming up that are trying to do good things in the sport of boxing. So instead of tearing someone down, let's big up the dudes who are actually fighting and doing what they got to do. I've criticized Tank on this platform plenty of times. I don't think I have to defend that. Yes, I'm disappointed in the fan. And those fights and people who are Tank fans but saying he doesn't have to fight Shakur, yes, he does. He has to. If not, then we're going to have to revisit the conversation of where we list him at amongst the all-time greats or whatever the conversation is at that time. But this whole Snack and Victor Conti and all of that, I think here for boxing said it earlier. Like I just can't believe that you click on channels. Me and you spoke about it last night. I can't believe that you click on channels and every day that's their topic, that's their videos every day, all day. That's all they speak about. They don't even have the knowledge of boxing to even break down fights. It's just all propaganda every day.
Facts.
And people sending super chats, this, that, and the third for all of that bull crap, and it's just propaganda. Them dudes ain't pop dirty. Let them dudes live. Let them dudes fight their fights. If something else happens, whereas though that they pop dirty, hold them to the same standards that you will hold somebody else to. Plain and simple. That's all
I
I got.
agree. Yo, shout out to Dragonfly Jones real quick. And that's what I was talking about earlier. But Dragonfly Jones says, I'm curious on what the hot boxing topics on the Spanish channels. I wonder what they're discussing right now. And I'm telling you, they're not talking about no damn Victor Conti, Terrence Crawford, bro. They're not. They don't care.
Yeah, because boxing fans is nervous right now. That's why.
Yeah, they're not. When you go to the UK boxing scene right now and you watch their content, they're not talking about no damn Victor Conti, no Terrence Crawford, or no damn on no damn snack program. When you listen to the new, so, and the reason I say that is because, and shout out to Dragonfly Jones for putting that, because these content creators would have you believing that this is what's trending. No, this is what's trending in the black or the urban boxing space. And there's an argument there to be said that the reason why American boxing is where it's at right now is because the lack of motivation for the American boxing space to support boxing versus how much criticism they have for every single bit of boxing happening here. If it's not tearing down Terence right now it's tearing down Jerron Boots Ennis. If it ain't tearing down Jerron Boots Ennis, it's tearing down Devin Haney. If it ain't Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson. If you're not celebrating Tank or celebrating Errol or celebrating that small circle of fighters, it's the worst. And look, I don't even like Teofimo Lopez, but even he evolved into what he's become because he's trying to acclimate to what? This boxing space and what people respect versus what they don't respect. He went from I'm competing, I'm looking to become, chase down titles, legacy, lineal championships to, you know what? I got to bait and switch, throw shots, say crazy stuff. I got to be extreme because this
just
boxing
to get a fight
will not
he turned
get
into a clown
for simply being great in the ring. Right. And I don't like, I speak of it up front to say that I'm not a fan of Teofimo. I hate that shit that he does. Ryan Garcia, those guys. But at the same time, there's an argument to say in this toxic ass space where the only thing that gets attention is shock value type of entertainment, it's not hard to believe that they're going to reach to the extreme versions of themselves to say anything controversial to get that attention. That's what this space has become, and it's hurt boxing. Now, when a Shakur Stevenson or even an Abdullah Mason or Brian Norman who went to Japan, when he comes back, what does he say? Yo, the experience is completely different, bro. Yo, they love you over there. They celebrate you for being a great fighter, bro. No disrespect. Yo, win, lose, or draw. This is the way they treat you when you go over there. When Shakur goes over there and goes, man, the boxing fans are crazy, bro. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 people inside of an arena cheer you on. Then you got to come back into this space where a fan will challenge you and be like, yo, bro, you a duck, bro. You didn't go do this. Yo, bro, you taking steroids. Yo, bro, you trash, bro. Yo, bro, why didn't you sign this contract? Why you ain't make this fight? Hey, yo, bro. And what boxer on any given Sunday is embracing that kind of culture and not giving that kind of culture his ass a kiss on a regular basis, not giving you the fights. You guys think you're celebrating Tank Davis? Well, Tank Davis doesn't even care to communicate with you guys or give you guys any fights or do anything. He doesn't even know if he wants to continue boxing. Why? Because what is it worth? If it ain't about the biggest paydays, why fight? Because you guys don't celebrate, don't watch, don't even know what the hell you watching. Rest in peace to the great Roger Mayweather, who spoke on this boxing space a long time ago and let it be known most niggas don't know nothing about no damn boxing. Salute to salute to everybody on the panel. I want to give a chance also and bring it back full circle. I know HLD wanted to speak, so I want to give him an opportunity to give him the mic, man. Go ahead, HL.
Nah, man, I already had my space. I think everything that the gentleman that says bench pressing for us. A lot of what he said, because I don't.
Every time Rick Timms disappears off the screen, I gotta question what's going on over there, bro. I might have to put a jacket on him, bro. I'm getting a feeling like every time he disappears, I'm like, "What you doing, Rick? I need transparency. I need transparency,
bro. You ain't wasting time. You're doing push-ups.
I need transparency. What you drinking over there? Where that snack thing at in there, bro? Rick, I don't know. Transparency, brother. I don't know, brother. Go ahead.
He's injecting, bro. I see that injection over there, bro.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Over there, bro.
Don't listen.
You're becoming a damn superhuman over there, bro.
You got to take 600 milligrams, a week, every other day. You'll be all right.
Captain America, bro. You know what I mean? Over there doing superhuman stuff over there, bro.
No, but a lot of what he said makes sense, and a lot of what everybody always makes sense, except some of the stuff my man was talking about in parts that I just make no damn sense. Because you got to be racist to go for Canelo and shit. When I've heard the most racist people on all YouTube channels, our black channels, talking shit about Crawford. So I mean, that's why I've heard call him the.
I said that you just missed that part because you stupid.
No, you too dumb, bro. But I do agree that you can't, just like my man said also earlier, that you are an athlete for most of your life. you build a base, and once you build a base with your body, it's a muscle memory that if you're always on it, you could do things with your body that your average couch potato will not fucking be able to do. I tell you that. And you ain't gonna become just an athlete overnight just because you just decide, oh, now I'm gonna give my life to athletics. No, it's something that if you build a base and you've been on it most of your life, like I can see Rick Simpson doing that for a good part of his life, you're gonna be able to get back on it. Yeah, you could take a few months off, but you get back on it, muscle memory pops in quick. It's quick because that's just part of who you are. It's part of your DNA. I do that every day. I can run my 5 miles every other day, get onto them like I did this morning, and we're gonna be on it. But that's how it's supposed to be. But if you're just a couch potato, you're not gonna. So it's true. Yeah, you're gonna build muscle easier. Yeah, as you get older, it's not the same. But my issue is Victor Conte in the game. Period.
Well, let me ask you this, HL, right? Like, I have no problem. And that's another thing that's so diabolical about this, because in no way am I sitting here trying to defend it. I hate even looking like I'm defending Victor Conte, because I truly am not, right? But obviously, my stake in the game is the legacy of Terrence Crawford, right? That's where my disagreement comes in, the fact that I don't think this dude's done anything to warrant this type of attention. And I say that based off the status of all the fighters that I just mentioned on that list, and fighters I haven't even mentioned, like Bam Rodriguez, right? Like these fighters who aren't under the same scrutiny. So it starts to look personal and looks crazy. But at the same time, my question is, okay, well, if it's truly why now? Why, as an American boxing fan, can we not see the trees for the forest to understand that there's an opportunity here for all American boxers for this event to be successful, to support the event? Why choose to tear it down? Even if you're not going to support it and come out and say, yo, I can't wait for it, but why now use this opportunity to tear down something when you know Top Rank just moved away from ESPN, when you know the PBC struggling with dropping fights on Amazon, when you see that the American boxing space needs something. It needs something. Why not support
Conte? That's why we don't need to.
No, but it's not about Victor Conte.
It is for me. It is for me.
Why aren't they saying that with Bam? Why aren't they saying that with Mario Barrios?
He's the face of this shit. Why is he the one out here putting out Victor Conte is. He's the face
why isn't Victor Conte being talked about with Mario Barrios' fight?
He was being talked about with Devin Haney, was he not? We were not talking about this end of
No, if it ain't Devin and if it ain't Terrence, nobody's talking about Victor Conte, bro. Come on, bro.
That's not true. Victor Conte has been a topic on YouTube for many years.
No. I'm not saying we never talked about Victor Conte. What I'm saying is when Bam Rodriguez just fought, why wasn't Victor Conte brought up?
He's in the same division. We don't see him doing anything beyond what normality is. Do we see that?
Is he working with Victor Conte or not?
Well, I didn't even know until you mentioned that he is working with Victor.
Okay, so we need to start scrutinizing Bam Rodriguez. Why wasn't Mikey Garcia under the same scrutiny when he worked with Victor Conte?
Now what is working? Now what is working? Being sponsored? Because the snack product.
We don't know the difference.
Allow me to finish. Let me finish.
Bro,
the snack product is not the issue here. The snack product is not the issue here because there's nothing wrong with the snack product. I don't think it's great, but it's nothing wrong about the illegality of them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's what happens when he just put out just about a day ago or two. Is what happens behind the scenes when he's able to take blood test panels from a fighter and able to then really get into the scientific part of how to break shit down for your body, for what you need and what you don't need to make shit happen. How to make can he make a person not pass the test? Absolutely. Can he make somebody?
Can anybody else do that?
I don't know anybody else who's got a lab like he does.
Oh, really? We're going to play that game.
Let me
ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, Nate. Because that's another point of topic that we can all discuss right now as well, right? But I want to ask you this question. How do we know in what capacity any of these fighters that I mentioned on this list are working with Victor Conte?
All we can say is that we only know that they're just sponsoring a product. But with
so you're telling me
because Victor Conte just put out what he does for Bud.
Yeah, because you guys asked him, so he told you. He's been transparent, so he has no problem saying that, right? Do we know that Boo Boo Andrade was in Victor Conte's program when he fought against David Benavidez?
He may have been.
We saw it.
He may have been. He may have been because
we watched it with our eyes during the All Access. You watched him working with Victor Conte.
I didn't see the All Access. I'm not in. I was not. I was
Well,
not
in
into
All
those
Access, he was. Everybody saw. If you watch All Access, that Dimitri Andrade was underneath the snack program, doing everything: the hyperbolic chamber, the supplements. He was working inside of the snack facility to get ready to go up and wait and fight against David Benavidez. Where was the scrutiny there for Demetrius Andrade to this day?
There wasn't, but he's not that big of a name to nobody really give a fuck. He's not. He's not Bud, is he?
Listen, I just feel like if we're going to make arguments about his
Clay,
influence on the game, he should be addressed on every fighter that he influences. And we can't sit here and just automatically assume that any one fighter is only operating in the capacity of sponsorship money versus actually utilizing the services that are available for them to use, especially when we're talking about blood panels and hyperbolic chambers and all those different things. What fighter wouldn't take advantage of that if it's at their fingertips to do it, especially with the free sponsorship? Why not take advantage of it? Are all of them doing it? No. But do we know which one is doing it versus which one is not doing it? No. 1 second. Let me shout out to the Cardenas who's showing some love in the super chat right now. I appreciate you, the Cardenas, for the support. Says, why content creators never talk about the history of boxing? Casuals or casuals? Because these content creators don't educate content authenticity. Yo, Cardenas, I want to tell you something, right? I saw a content creator one time say, bro, don't tell me to cover these topics because when I do cover these topics, you guys don't watch it. You don't support it. You don't show up in the chats when I bring up those conversations. You don't hit up the views. You don't hit the likes. You're not hitting me with the super chats. So what's the reality? The reality is that the content creators are serving the people who are supporting them. And if there's no support for those content creators where they can make a living, when you talk about a content creator, let's say a boxing ego or a show busy entertainer, or is it the entertainer? Whatever he is, so busy entertainer. When you're talking about these bigger content creators specifically who have made their choices to leave their professional careers to become content creators to make a living, they're going to serve the content that the people are eating and are celebrating by supporting it with video, with super chats and things of that nature. That's why you heard me speak earlier and say, listen, I'm not going to be going live as regularly as I normally did, right? I'm going to start investing more time into putting into the content, into the videos. I'll do pop-up lives. Why? Because I'm wasting, my time is here. 4 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours here. What else could I be doing? Do you guys honestly believe that I don't got nothing else to do? You're tripping. Trust me when I tell you that. I don't even promise you. My wife gives me hell for spending all the time I do on building this channel. My kids give me hell for the time I spend doing on this channel. I am now making a conscious effort to go to the gym, cutting this weight. I turned fat making this damn channel. Know what I'm saying? We don't do this for no damn reason. So I like it that you're concerned and that you would like for the content to be in a certain way. But at the same time, I think a lot of I'm not gonna call you guys fans, but I think a lot of support for these channels would make a difference. I think also not supporting the channels that are putting out the nonsense you don't want to hear makes a difference as well, just as much as supporting the channels who are giving you the content you want. Because I'll do it, right? I'll sit here and I'll invite Blood Boxing. I will invite Bruce Gass. I will invite Echo. I will bring up the historians. Ross Clott is a historian. Those people, and we'll sit here and talk about the history of boxing exclusively and watch how many people, how quickly that 50 turns into a damn 20, 15, 16. Watch.
That's a fact.
Watch. Now you explain to me why I should sit up here and continue to sit up here for 3 to 4 hours for 15 to 20 people with maybe 2 or 3 people putting $2 super chats in here. How long is that going to last? So I think that's a fair statement you're making right there. But I think a lot of the support needs to put their money where their mouth is when the real content creators are out there putting in the work. Because I'm sure Retro and Blood Boxing would do a lot more shows if he was coming up on his shows. And I know he does it off the strength of the love, but trust me, I just got a funny feeling the needle could be moved. It's not just on the content creators, it's on the support as well that the content creators are getting.
Gossip and the carnival rides of boxing is what brings in the views, unfortunately. The car crashes, those type of topics like right now what we're having, right? But if he wants to see, like you said, Bruce Gass is one of the. If you would just want to talk about history and shit, you could go to Bruce Gass. That's all he does. But
yeah, like look at this dude right here, right? I mean, his name speaks to it, right? Right, but I just want to be honest, right? I don't care. That's why I haven't locked you out. I haven't frozen you. I haven't kicked you out of the channel. I'm not going to unless you say something really crazy, right? But here it is, right? So you speak your truth, and this is what they say. This guy has no interest in boxing. He doesn't have a question about boxing. He doesn't have an opinion about boxing. He's here to do one thing: troll,
rage bait,
and bait. Click and bait and race bait and try to get a reaction. Try to get what I'm giving him right now, right? So I think the boxing space and the boxing fan needs to recalibrate, revisit, and audit their actual love for the sport and see what they're willing to support as far as boxing concerned versus the trauma, drama, and shock value content that they do support. In that they'll come in and do $20, $50, $100. You know what I'm saying, super chats to support that channel. But if we sit here and talk about boxing for real, which I'm down to do, I love that shit. But watch how the viewership goes and watch how the support goes when we do stuff like that.
It's kind of like supply and demand. You know what I mean?
It is what it is. We out here to create content for a reason, not for anything. Matter of fact, I got to go soon because I got to go change the oil on my damn truck. I got an appointment at 1:30. But yo, so I do want to I know Coach Eddie's here. Bruce Gas is still here. Oh, look, Bruce Gas showing his picture there. Yeah, see, that's what happens when you shooting that shit up, right, Bruce? That snack pack.
No, that was natural, my brother. That was natural. But see what I want to add on is August is a very, very slow month for boxing. I mean, compared to July, August, man, you could sleep through half of August and you're not going to miss anything. So, you know, we as content creators, and I speak for all of us, we like to get those hits. I go out there and I talk boxing. I mean, I'm giving you history that you're not going to get anywhere on YouTube or even in a fucking book. And I'll get 4 or 5 people listening to me. People like drama. They like to hear about the steroids in boxing. They like to hear about the boxers going getting arrested. You know, it's fucking drama that gets the clicks. And you know that's not my thing, bro. That's why I'm a small channel. That's why I only have a few people watching me. But you know, we don't give a fuck about all this drama. You know, I've seen this before. I can pick up a tabloid and read about this. I have a love for the sport of boxing and even boxing today, man. I can't wait till Bud and Crawford get in the ring. But there's so much time going on now that we're gonna look for whatever they did wrong. This guy look a little pudgy over here. He must be doing some juice. Canelo's not saying anything. He's got to have something going on. I mean, it's not even about boxing. It's all race baiting. And it's all looking for shit going on in the back that's not even happening and creating clicks. And like you said, Clay, you know, if we're out here and we're making a business out of it, we got to get views. We got to get super chats. We got to keep it interesting and flowing. But as far as the boxing's concerned, there's not much happening in boxing right now. We're rehashing the old stories. We gotta create some kind of a drama to keep people in here. And steroids and boxing, to me, that's a fun subject. That's a fun topic because I was involved in all that shit, man. I mean, like I said, I was selling creatine where people were driving 100 miles because you couldn't buy creatine anywhere else.
Yeah, I remember when creatine was like creatine. You know, I was getting kind of looked at like steroids. Like people were hesitant to mess with it. But shout out to the Cardenas who says history and comparison brings drama and views. Listen, this is all experimental stuff you're talking about. Listen, watch. I'm gonna do it, right? And we're gonna bring it up. I'm gonna invite Bruce Gas. I'm gonna invite Blood. I'm gonna reach out to Blood to Blood Boxing. I'm gonna bring in Echo, and we'll sit here and we'll talk about boxing. And I'll sit back because, in all honesty, I'm not the historian, but I love it. I love to be in the presence of these guys, ask questions, and learn stuff. Ross Clot. I love to be in the presence of it, but we'll see. I don't care because you know why I don't care? Because I don't make a living doing this. I actually have a job and I actually take care of my family pretty well doing what I do. I want this to be a successful thing, but I'm not caught up in it like that. But I want to build the channel, right? But we don't get the support. I see it, bro. They don't care. They don't care when we talk about those topics.
Imagine a panel of Echo and Bruce Gas, bro.
It'd be crazy. Let me tell you something. I like right now, I'm even wanting to talk about boxing as far as Virgil, as far as what's going on with this PBC and Golden Boy thing, as far as this Moses Atuma and Dillian White card coming up, as far as the news that's coming out on Conor Benn and Chris Eubank or Keyshawn Davis talking about retirement or all the different things that are going on in boxing. We talk about it, right? But who's going to show interest and support it? That's going to make the difference as to whether or not it makes sense for us to continue to move forward and move with that same energy. It is what it is. Shout out to Raider Transplant, Angelo in the building who says there's great events going on. Yeah, I agree, Raider, but once again, this boxing community is not interested in it, bro. They're just not. And I talk about it. And when I do talk about it, I'm telling you, like I sat here today and I was talking about a bunch of stuff going on. What I see going on in the chat? Tank and Shakur and Abdullah Mason. Yeah, that's what the whole time I'm talking, that's what's going on in the chat. They don't care. I'm talking about it. I'll be honest with you. When I talk about that stuff, you know why I do it? For the replay gang, for content for people who want to just catch up and watch it off the strength of that. But ain't nobody in the chat studying none of that. They don't give a damn about that shit.
It wasn't about what you were talking about.
They weren't even giving a damn what I was talking about, bro. I just sit here and just, that's why I talk to the camera and I don't even, they don't care, bro. Thank God I got thick skin and I don't, and my feelings ain't hurt easily, but you don't think I notice? Hell yeah, I notice. You know what I'm saying? And I see it happening in other chats as well, bro. Shout out to Ness and the Boxing Boys. They found a way to keep the attention there to a certain degree. And I try to watch their blueprint and try to get an understanding of how they do. But this thing right here is not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not easy. Trust me.
No, it ain't.
You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody in the building. I tell you what, though, we got about 15 minutes left before I need to start making some move. I am interested. Does anybody have any interest at all in this PBC versus Golden Boy potential card that's going to happen?
Which card is that? I haven't heard of it.
Well, I'm hearing the rumors of Virgil Ortiz fighting maybe Keith Thurman. And I'm actually interested in what people think about that fight in comparison to a fight with Virgil Ortiz and Xander Zayas, and also the return of Frank Martin potentially getting in the ring with Arnold Barboza at 140. That's what the rumor is spinning the block going on right now. What do you guys think about those fights?
Well, I was hoping Thurman for Xander because I think we would want that name on his resume. That's a good name to have on his resume. Great experience and a great fight. Let's not make it seem like it's not going to be a great. I think it would be a great fight, especially in Puerto Rico. Hell yeah, I think that would be a great fight because Thurman's going to sell the shit out of it. He's going to annoy people with this stuff too. Mm-hmm. I know it's going to be. It would be a great.
Speaking of himself, third person.
Oh man, I would love that fight. I would love that fight. I like Thurman. I think we need. Too bad we don't have more of Thurman because I think Thurman was needed in boxing for many years because he's valuable. I think what he brings to the table is valuable to the sport. But as far as him and I don't see Thurman fighting for no interim belt. He wants a belt. He wants the title. He wants a title. And when he was on our boys panel Mills, I brought it, man. I mean, you number 7 with the WBO, and Xander's about to fight for a title. So that's why I think, and he was very much intrigued by that because that's what he said he wants. He wants a title. I don't know if he's gonna, he's on that Porter timeline right now where it's like big, go big and bust or go home because he doesn't have that much time. He really doesn't, and so I think he's gonna wait to really get that title shot. And I hope that's what happens. Hopefully it goes with Xander because I don't, why fight you for the interim belt? Be stuck there not doing anything? That's not what he wants. My opinion.
I'm on the same page as you when it comes to that conversation. I'm interested in everybody else's perspective.
I'll tell you, I like the idea of PBC and Golden Boy collaborating because, with this Turkey Al-Sheikh money, that changes the whole ball game. If these promoters want to survive, they're going to have to get together. They're going to have to work jointly. And they're not going to have to worry about what the L's going to do for their fighter. They're going to have to say, fuck it. And this is the game. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose. You can't protect fighters anymore. And if you want to compete with the Saudi card, then you're going to have to get together. You're going to have to put your best against their best. And that's the way it should be. I mean, I cannot wait to see Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz get together. It's going to happen. It's going to be cross promotions. But with economically feasible, it's the only way to do it is by getting these top talents in the ring because Turkey Al-Sheikh, he's pulling no stops. He's bringing the best in and spending endless amounts of money. So I like that idea, Clay.
Man, I'm telling you what, that's the most important thing in the whole situation for me is the collaboration, right? I don't think people are talking about it on that level, which is because we heard Bob Arum also rumoring about working with the PBC as well. And, that's another positive that Turkey brought to the space that people don't want to acknowledge as well. It's not just the money he infused into the sport, but he also put the pressure on these other promotional companies to concede to certain things that they wouldn't have conceded to if the competitive nature of a free market didn't kick in. These guys wouldn't ultimately make the ultimate sacrifices, which is let's put our pride to the side and let's start working together. You know what I'm saying? In the spirit of keeping some of this boxing over here in America, making sure our influence still is sustainable in some way or another. We need each other, especially with networks not necessarily seeming as willing as they used to be to jump into making these big paydays and making these big fights happen.
I think the Keith Thurman fight, Ortiz fight, that's a potential banana peel. Ortiz, it seems like every fight you get in is like a hard fight. You know, I don't know if he just makes it hard or that's just the way he is, or maybe he's just not that good. I don't know. He's always in these back and forth seesaw type of fights, and Keith Thurman can't punch. You know what I mean? So that's one thing he can do. He got a little punching power. If I'm Virgil Ortiz, if my next aim is at Boots, I'm fighting Rashidi Ellis to get me ready for Boots. Now that doesn't mean that he gets past Rashidi Ellis. I'm just saying that'd be a good, a good test. Somebody that's slick, got some movement, that had that type of style. May not carry the same power that Boots has, but it'll get you ready for that type of style. And with like I say, with Boots, I think Jesus Ramos is a good fight. Some of these fights that Boots, it is what it is, man. Got to fight somebody, at the end of the day. But you got if you get Rashidi Ellis in Boots, that's basically two slick black fighters fighting each other. You get Charles Conwell, he's pretty decent, and the other two guys, they kind of like, you know what I mean? So Boots gonna get a little criticism, but at the same time, Eddie Hearn's gonna be moved with caution because Eddie Hearn has experienced a lot of losses in the past year or two. So he's gonna be careful how he moves, Boots. Not saying that Boots can't fight, but Eddie Hearn has experienced a lot of losses. So he probably don't want to make the same mistake. He's gonna probably try to get as much money, out of Boots as he can, and then put him in the big fights to make sure that he's ready. Because let's say AJ, his main cash cow, is on the way out. And Eddie Hearn is looking for another cash cow, and that could potentially be Boots if he's able to introduce Boots to the European market and they embrace him. He can pick up a huge fan base. I think Eddie Hearn is the right guy to do it.
Yeah, and actually, when I'll let you speak right now. Just giving you a heads up, just segueing into the way Eddie Hearns is handling Boots and how people necessarily are looking at it. I got some interesting perspective on that, but I do have questions one way or the other. I'm kind of split, but I'm going to bring it up. I don't know who was Ross Clark about to speak, or was it?
No, I just want to know who just
HL.
get their two piece right now, because he said something very interesting about Virgil Ortiz. So was that Coach Eddie?
That was me, man. Yeah, Coach Eddie.
Yeah, I was exactly what you were thinking about with about Virgil's what I was thinking about him just in these days, because he's throwing shots at Xander, and I'm like, my man, every fight you get into is a damn war. Crawford fought Madrimov, and though it was a boring fight and in itself, but it was not a life and death fight. And then you get into it, Madrimov, in his life and death. Bohachuk just got his ass whooped by Michael Fox. I mean, outclassed, dropped him and everything. They robbed him, but he whooped Bohachuk. It was not a war, and Michael Fox looks like he wasn't even in a fight. But you look at how Virgil was after those two fights, and the guy's ready to die. So it does then play to the part. How good is he? How good really is he? I really question that, because I've seen other guys not doing what he's doing, he's not going to be. I think by the time he's 32, he's going to be out of boxing.
I believe that.
He can't be fighting like that. I mean, I look at his face on after both of those fights, and the guy needs to be in the hospital. So so then so he was taking shots at Xander. That, my man, there's a reason why your team didn't want you to fight him. There's a reason, and I see that clear as day. A real boxer is gonna whoop his ass. This is simple.
You can look at Maurice Hooker. Maurice Hooker was piecing him up, had his face all messed up, and then Mean Machine had him drunk, had him on spaghetti legs.
Well, let me ask you guys a question, right? As far as Virgil is concerned, can we acknowledge, is it fair? Like, shout out to Showbiz. I know people don't like Showbiz, but Showbiz once said one thing that I was like, yeah, I like that, which is the reasons versus the excuses, right? Like, excuses are unacceptable in boxing, but are reasons acceptable? In other words, as far as a Madrimov-Virgil Ortiz fight is concerned, can we acknowledge that Madrimov's pneumonia that he was getting over affected his ability to maintain that same pace of boxing that he did against Terence Crawford? And is there an argument to say there that Virgil Ortiz was able to capitalize off of that? And that's why Madrimov was standing flat-footed in front of Virgil from round like 4 or 5 on to the end of that fight. Yeah or nay?
If it's legit, I would say absolutely. You can't say no. You can't say, of course he's going to affect them. We know that. That's a fact.
Right. I mean, because we saw him, and the only reason I bring that up is because we saw him maintain that pace with Terence Crawford for all 12 rounds. He was moving around, bouncing
Right,
around.
the herky jerky stuff. Yeah.
He wasn't able to do that against Virgil Ortiz. And I would also say there's an argument there to say that Madrimov won all those rounds when he was doing the irky jerky thing with Virgil. Like from round 1 to 4, he was winning that. He was handling Virgil.
And to be clear, so nobody gets buttered, Virgil is an exciting fighter that you must watch him when he fights. We're not. I think we confuse exciting with the quality of a boxer that you are. And it's
salute my brother, Blue Blood Sports TV in the building. Yeah.
And Virgil was in shape too. Virgil was in condition. He wasn't even breathing hard in the 12th round, whereas Madrimov was dragging, man. Madrimov was really tired. Virgil showed the condition that he's in.
Yeah. So I think that I agree with both HLD and Coach Eddie as far as there's still questions there for Virgil Ortiz, legitimate ones. I think that it's not all out yet. I don't think the eye test has completely sold. If you're watching him closely, I'm not completely sold on Virgil. Like you said, HL, think he's an exciting fighter. Love to see him in the ring because I know it's going to be a show. I know he's going to put it all out there. But does he beat a Xander Zayas? If that's the conversation, I don't know. I think Xander Zayas presents issues that have shown up as issues for Virgil Ortiz in the past. I think the boxer, the mover, the IQ, the pedigree that Xander brings in here. And listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I always acknowledge Xander. The one thing about Xander that I celebrate more than anything that he brings to the table is that aptitude. And he's a fighter whose yesterday's price is never today's price. Yesterday's fighter is never today's fighter. Every fight I see Xander in, he's doing what? Getting better. He's evolving. He has an aptitude to learn from his mistakes. The more competitive the fight on the other side of 12 rounds with Xander Zayas comes a better fighter in comparison to a fighter who's knocking people out inside the first 2, 3, 4 rounds. Xander's going through 12 rounds. People could look at how they want to look at it, but to me, it's experience, and a fighter like him benefits. He elevates with the fight. So what you saw him do against Aslawa, he didn't do when he got in the ring with who's the last guy? Who?
Garcia Perez.
Yeah, with Garcia Perez. And that fight he fought with Garcia Perez, I expect to see an even better fighter in his next fight. I think he's the kind of fighter that you want to get early rather than later. You need to not, you know what I mean? You don't want to wait Xander out, because you wait Xander Zayas out and he becomes a worst case scenario for you in the long run. You get him while he's young. And that being said, my question to the panel as well is, should Virgil take Xander now with a belt where the reward makes sense, or does he take a fight with a Keith Thurman and play that game of seeing Xander later on in his 154-pound career?
Well, if I answer that, I'm gonna say, yo, you're not getting Xander now, brody. Xander was willing to take on a fight, leaving his position with the WBO to go fight Virgil Ortiz. He was willing to give up his spot for the title shot at the WBO, which he's been in line for the past couple years. He was willing to give up that spot to fight Virgil Ortiz for his interim, and they didn't want it. Now he's a champion. There's nothing that Virgil now brings to the table. There's nothing. He wants Fundora. Now, he did mention the other day, as exciting big fights, he really believes that the Virgil and him, in the East Coast is going to be a massive fight, but you're going to have to bring a belt. I think the Fundora fight is the fight I personally want, because he's the one who vacated. He's the one who got on the negotiation table, then started talking about rehydration clauses. I mean, really, the 6'6" dude talking about rehydration clauses and vacated to avoid the fight. To fight on the undercard when they could have been during the Puerto Rican parade in New York. Yo, that would have been big room, sold out Madison Square Garden fight, period. And he's ducked that smoke. So that's the fight I want. That's the one I would want for Xander. If not, I would like them to have Thurman. I think Thurman is an excellent. I think it's a dangerous fight, because we're talking about a man who has got a lot of experience. He's only lost once, so it's not like he has a habit of losing. And I've never seen him really get his ass beat. Never. Yeah, we've seen him hurt here, body shots, but I have never seen Thurman get his ass whooped. So that's that. He's a dangerous fighter still today. But I would like to see that.
I want to say this real quick, because we're about to land in, and I want to talk about this. We're probably going to have to continue this conversation tomorrow, But I definitely want to speak on Timothy Bradley's perspective on Tank Davis's Hall of Fame career. How did everybody feel about that little splat he had about the 8 undefeated fighters, and how he looks at it as far as resume is concerned? And also, I want to talk about what was it that I wanted to talk about? And we could probably go real quick around the panel on this one. Oh man, what was it? Boy, brain fart. I need to write my stuff down more often, bro. What was it? Hold on, let me look at if I had it on the paper, if it jogs my memory when I see it. Is it? Hold on,
man, I messed up your thought because I came in talking about the Zan because I wanted, and then you had it. Let me see if I can.
Was it Xander? Was it Xander?
It was about.
Oh yeah. When you get to the point to where these guys get titles, does it become chess, not checkers? In other words, is it strategy? Do we move smart as a fighter, or do we still look to fight the hardest fights? What makes more sense, and what are we willing to accept?
Unification over everything if you're a champion, and then the next best fights in line.
Period. Right.
Right. The next best fight in line. But as them, they're gonna say unifications for the most part. Or I'm gonna take low risk, high reward in the meantime. And that's what they normally do, because why risk your title? Only few fighters in boxing today or ever are true legacy fighters. Very few and far between. There's a difference in the business of boxing and those who are really in it for legacy. And there's just very few fighters that are built for that.
Okay. One time around the panel, and then we out. Tank Davis, Hall of Fame resume or no?
No, right maybe now. On the Globetrotters Hall of Fame, but yeah.
He said no.
No, he won't be Hall of Fame.
Bruce Gass, right now, if Tank Davis retires right now, Hall of Fame or not a Hall of Fame on his resume?
Probably Hall of Fame.
Okay.
The way they let him in today, yeah, they'll let him in.
Okay. Oh no, by the way, that's one. So give me two answers. A, would you put him in the Hall of Fame? B, does he go in the Hall of Fame?
I agree with Bruce. They will let him in because all you need is popularity. I mean, you just mentioned one guy, Tim Bradley. But so yeah, but would I put him in there? No, man, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. If you talk about that back in the day, all you had to do is one thing when you ask, yo, is this guy a Hall of Famer? It was immediate. You know he was or he wasn't. Because if you got to go, no, that means you're not. And that's how it was for me back in the old days.
No doubt. Rick Timms, you're a Tank fan. You're honest. You're objective. You're not the type of person who's going to bite your tongue. I feel like this might be a difficult one for you because you might have to drop some medicine on the boxing space right now. But yeah. Tank Davis right now retires tomorrow. Hall of Fame or not a Hall of Fame?
Dog, I personally wouldn't vote him in, but the way Tim Bradley got in, the popularity, the spectacular knockouts would probably get him the check. And Leo Santa Cruz, who else on Tank, roster?
He got Leo, he got Gamboa, he got Pedraza, he got Mario Barrios going up to 140. I think the big thing with Tank is the amount of undefeated fighters he has on his record maybe holds a little weight. I think he has like 8 undefeated fighters that he's beaten. Obviously Leo Santa Cruz is one of them. I mean, if you want to give him Ryan Garcia, if you want to give him Ryan Garcia,
and these fighters are all. I think a lot of these fighters are future world champions too. He's beating them when they're on their way up.
I mean, all of them questionable, right? Like Mario Barrios, one of the weakest welterweight champions I've seen in a long time. Rolly Romero, really?
Well, his resume is aging pretty well.
I guess on paper, yeah. On paper, I'm be honest with you. I'm not impressed with Rolly. I think there's an asterisk next to Ryan Garcia. I think there's an asterisk next to Mario Barrios. I think Frank Martin, he got him right, nice and young, and he didn't really evolve into what he could be. And not to mention, he probably was outgrowing the weight class at that time. I think Leo Santa Cruz is really a career 150, 170, 122 type of fighter. You know what I'm saying? That
his matchmaker should be in the Hall of Fame before he is, in other words.
Right. Maybe that, right? Maybe that. And I think, Jose Pedraza, I give him all the respect for that. Leon Walsh, decent. Decent. He went over to England and made something special happen over there. But yeah, I mean, I just think he hasn't had the significant fight that I want to see him in yet. And I think he can, and I think that also holds weight as well. The fact that he can and that it looks like he won't, I think is unfortunate as well. But not for me, not Hall of Fame. For me, not a Hall of Fame.
I think Pedraza is not only his best name at the time, but one of his greatest fights at the time. And we're talking about at 126, right? I think it was. Yeah. So I mean, I know, man. I mean, but he did beat the, hey, I don't know why Rick is laughing. He beat the great Pitbull Cruz, man. I mean, come on, Rick.
Man, come on, stop, man. No, man, Pitbull ain't it, man. No, it just, from a spectacular standpoint, the generating the buzz, the excitement, putting ass in the seat, bringing out the celebrities. He the one. But from the body of work, as a whole, I'm kind of iffy on that still.
Look, Rocky Balboa is inside of the Hall of Fame, right? Why?
That doesn't count. That's a
but that's non-participant, Clay.
That's commemorative,
That's a non-participant.
Listen, the direction I'm going in is
category
influence. I'm saying influence. Does that hold enough weight? Because we can acknowledge Tank Davis's influence over this era of boxing as being one of the biggest influences. Can that hold enough weight to put him in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, Shaq's got a doctorate from what university they gave him a doctorate, right? So I mean, anybody with honorary, that happens all the time.
Yeah,
get a ticket.
Let me keep it moving though. I gotta go soon. I want to be quick on this. So, Coach Eddie, where you at on this topic? Coach Eddie, he walked away. Ross Cloud, I don't think I need to ask you, but I'll ask you anyway. Where you at with it?
For me, it's a no. At the end of the day, people run to, Arturo Gotti's in there, so this person should get in there and that person should get in there. And I think it got to stop somewhere. As far as Stallone being in it, well, there's a non-participant category in the Hall of Fame. So I mean, he's not in there for being a participant. He's in there for a non-participant. So should Tank Davis go in there? No, he shouldn't. I mean, he didn't do much, you know what I'm saying? But if Tank goes in there, then there's going to be a whole bunch of other fighters that's going to get in there that did the minimum. And so then every fighter is going to become a Hall of Fame if Tank goes in there, right? You can make an argument that Timothy Bradley shouldn't be in there. And there's people that say he should be. I'm one of the guys who think he shouldn't be in there. So it is what it is. If Tank Davis get in there, hey, who cares? He ain't in mine.
Yeah, but I hear you though as far as precedence. What is it setting as far as precedence is concerned? I think it's a little risky road that we're playing on. Shout out to my guy, Reyes Boxing, Angelo in the building. Angelo, I'm gonna let you close it up for us, man. Where you feel? Wait, Eddie, are you there? Coach Eddie, you here? Okay, still not.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, my bad. Yes, sir.
All right, Coach, go ahead, man. The question is, Tank Davis right now retires tomorrow. He hits the press conference tomorrow. He goes, I'm done. I've decided I'm walking away from the sport of boxing. Hall of Fame career or no at this point?
I think in today's time, he'd be a Hall of Famer because based on popularity and based on what he did in my criteria, he got too much unfinished business. He didn't fight the best in his era. And I wouldn't put him there, but there's so many guys that are in the Hall of Fame right now that you can be like, well, they're in the Hall of Fame, so why can't Tank be in the Hall of Fame? It's too inconsistent. I mean, you got guys who've never been champions in the Hall of Fame. Not saying that sometimes you make the Hall of Fame just because of the way you fought, like Arturo Gatti or Mickey Ward. Just the way they put on for the people got them in the Hall of Fame. So, it's one of the things. It's subjective. I think Tank need to fight one of his contemporaries. He had not fought one of his contemporaries, so it is what it is. But that's my take on it.
No doubt. Appreciate you. Go ahead, Angelo, man. It's on you to close it out, man.
All right.
Davis, tomorrow morning gets up, puts the pressure out there, gets 10,000, 100,000 people watching and viewing on YouTube as the world cries because he's leaving the sport and he's decided to retire and walk away from the sport, and his fans cry and everybody. Does he, at this point, with what he's done up to this point, has he established himself as a Hall of Fame fighter, in your opinion?
If he's for real retired, which, as you know, Claymore, we've talked about this, man. I said this was going to happen. I literally predicted this.
Yeah.
And I even said, then he's going to come back in a few months and say he's going to fight Jake Paul. Everybody's going to be on an uproar. And what I said to Claymore is, and we've already bought this before. It was Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. We literally bought this 4 years ago. So again, but let's pretend in a rational world.
That's all we got. That's all we got. It's our imagination, man. We Toys R Us kids. Let's do it.
Yeah. Like if Tank Davis were to retire now, at his peak, really at 30, if we were voting Claymore, of course he doesn't make it in our opinion, right? But I understand why he would make it, and the argument for it is winning a world title in boxing. And guys, I'm sure we all feel this way. Boxing is the only sport that we have that you don't play around. I don't think there's like death reports for the NFL or Major League Baseball or basketball. But literally last weekend in Japan, there was a draw of a fight. It was a great fight. Both fighters looked fine at the end. And then the one fighter, Qatari, got rushed to the hospital, and he's sitting there in a coma right now. And we don't know if he's going to make it or not. So it's the only sport that does that. No other sport does it. So I say that to land this point. If you win a world title, no matter what the public thinks of you or who you beat, if you win a world title in boxing, it wasn't given to you. You had to really work to get it. And if you get one of those, it's an argument enough to get you in the Hall of Fame, especially based on today's standards, right? Where you only have to wait 3 years to get into the Hall of Fame, right? Someone like Manny Pacquiao gets in the Hall of Fame, and in the same month, he's going to come back and fight again. You see, there needs to be a Hall of Fame, Claymore, where, I don't know, we call it the Universal Global Boxing Hall of Fame, where everybody has to hold like a super hard standard. Did you win the ring belt? Did you unify? Did you do this? Did you do that? But until that happens, bro, I'm never going to like crap on someone like Tank Davis making it to the Hall of Fame, because he did do something for boxing. He made a lot of new fans, right? He left at a peak of his career for whatever reason. Barry Sanders did too. And Barry Sanders never won a Super Bowl, but we regard Barry Sanders as one of the greatest running backs of all time. And I'm not saying Tank Davis, guys, is Barry Sanders. I'm just telling you that it's hard to do boxing. Hard to do boxing.
So he gets in. He gets in. I got you. All right, man. Look, it is what it is, guys. I appreciate all you guys tapping in, man. It was a great conversation. Earlier I did my little rant. Thanks for hanging back. I am kind of disgusted with the way the space is treating Terrence Crawford right now. I think it's diabolical, but it is. Listen, man. Everybody's gets an opinion, just like an asshole. Everybody gets one, and who are us to tell people how to wield it? Look forward to me wielding my opinion a little bit more boldly. I'm going to start speaking a little bit more profoundly on this space. I want to talk about boxing, but I'm going to talk about a lot of other stuff as well. The channel is going to be moving in that type of a direction, bro. We'll be on tomorrow. I was considering whether I was going to do it or not, but I'm going to make it happen tomorrow. We'll be on. I got things I want to talk about. We'll do that. We can talk about this Moses Atuma Dillian White card coming up. We got a whole lot of things to talk about. I'm in the heavyweight division. Alexander Usyk giving Joseph Parker, the fat girl at the end of the bar treatment right now. He's out there chilling. He ain't studying what he's talking about, but there might be an elevation happening soon in the WBO rankings, and we might have a heavyweight champion in Joseph Parker, and Moses Atuma has a significant fight happening with Dillian White, where he's ranked in the WBO rankings right now, kind of puts him in a conversation. We'll talk about all that stuff and everything going on undercard tomorrow, open panel. Other than that, man, I appreciate you guys, man. Appreciate you guys being in the building, man.
Hey, Claymore, would you consider doing a watch party for Friday?
Oh, yeah, I saw you said something about that. I got to look into that. I'll let you know tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, because on Friday, my time, it starts at 10:30 in the morning. So in your time, it's going to be like 1:30.
Oh, I'm not going to be home.
Okay.
I'm not going to be home. So I thought it was going to be at night to be different, but we'll build on it tomorrow, man. Salute to everybody in the building. Hey, man, shout out to all the super chats in the building. A lot of support today, man. I appreciate it, man. Feel free to do that on the regular. You know what I'm saying? The channel appreciates it. It goes to a good place, man. I'm elevating things over here. You'll see it. You've seen the improvement from day one till now, and it's going to continue to get better, but it can't happen without the support, man. So I appreciate all you guys. Until the next one, it's your boy Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media Show. Shout out to everybody on the panel. At this point, We out.